6 o'clock on the dot. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. Titans back on the practice field yesterday, and the first injury report of the week is out. Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley, Amani Hooker, Tony Pollard, Dylan Radins, L'Jarius Sneed, and Tavondre Sweat, all non-participants. Quarterback Will Levis was a limited participant, and head coach Mac Callahan had this to say on his young quarterback's progress.
The more important part for Will right now is going to be not just today, but Thursday, Friday's worth of days consecutively throwing to see how that goes. He feels good after the rest and some time off of throwing, so we'll see what it looks like as the week goes along.
On the Patriots side, quarterback Drake May was a limited participant Wednesday as he progresses through the NFL's concussion protocol after suffering a concussion this past Sunday against the Jets. The MLB season has come to an end as the Dodgers defeated the Yankees last night 7-6 to win the World Series in 5 games. 2 eighth-inning Dodger sac flies proved to be the difference. Freddie Freeman, your World Series MVP, with a .300 batting average, 4 home runs, and 12 RBIs in 5 games. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Thursday morning, getting started on your beautiful Halloween 2024. Welcome in to RKW. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Jackson Williams in for Robert Walsh this morning. 615-737-1045 is our number. Wrapping up the month of October, and there is a saying in the world of football: they remember what you do in November.
Ooh, wait, that gives me chills.
Good morning. How are we doing?
We're good. Happy Halloween, everybody. Hope y'all can fight the rain to get out there and trick-or-treat tonight and get your candy bowls full, people.
All right, let's go rapid fire. We have to pay the bills of being a radio show, which means we are obligated per the FCC to answer the stereotypical radio questions. However, because many of you actually hate listening to this, because every radio show in the country is going to do this today, we're going to do it as quickly as humanly possible. Favorite Halloween costume when you were a kid? 3, 2, 1, Ramon, go.
Strawberry
Power
shortcake.
Rangers.
Oh, I thought we were doing
Kayla,
it the
go.
time. Strawberry shortcake.
Jackson, go.
Power Ranger, I'm with Moan.
I was Harry Potter. Favorite candy in your basket? Kayla, 3, 2, 1, go.
Reese's.
Ramon, 3, 2, 1, go.
Kit Kats.
Jackson Williams.
Snickers.
Also Reese's. Least favorite candy to get in your Halloween bucket? Jackson, go.
Almond Joy.
Ramon, go.
Butterscotch.
Kayla, go.
Milk Duds.
Least favorite, licorice. Okay, now we can be a radio show and actually talk
There
about
we
football.
go. And
Perfect.
none of us dressed up, so we're obviously.
I got a little
Absolutely.
something.
I
I got a little something.
I
Oh, do you?
spoke.
I got a little something.
I spoke
I've done it
too
before.
soon.
It's kind of spooky.
That is.
Oh, just wait till the hat
I almost became
comes
like
on.
spooky, like a spooky Vol.
Oh, you look like the guy in the Call of Duty trailer from a couple
Yes,
years
he
ago.
does.
I remember I told you Keisha got me a cowboy hat too with the embroidered like Power T on it. I should have did that one today, but I forgot to grab my cowboy hat.
Well, this looks good.
This one's okay right
yeah,
here.
I think it's spooky.
See, this is all you need right here. This is like
If you're not watching a 104.5 The Zone TV, Ramon has a skeleton half mask that is over his like nose and chin. You can see it on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
this is just breathable right here. Like this is just so
Okay.
much better.
I'm glad
Oh
you can
wow,
breathe.
that is good.
By the
right
way,
there.
I would hope you can breathe.
Speaking of breathable, you guys, I'm about to buy that face tape for your mouth. I guess this is the
What?
new trend.
It is a very big trend, yeah.
Sleeping with tape on your mouth.
Forces you to breathe through your
your
nose,
nose.
which is healthier for you while you sleep.
Yeah. And then it gives you a more chiseled jaw. I always need to work on that.
Oh, I did not know that part.
I know somebody's got a chiseled jaw lately. Dwayne Wade statue.
Someone should be that for Halloween.
Yeah, somebody should be Dwayne Wade statue, man.
You could honestly just go in a Dwayne Wade jersey, and then you would also look nothing like Dwayne Wade.
Yes.
It could be the really lazy Halloween costume.
I like that, Will. If you're looking for a last-minute idea.
Just throw on a Dwayne Wade jersey, maybe some Miami Heat shorts. I don't know why you would have those, but maybe you could get them shipped, NBA store, NBA shop. I don't know.
Y'all got to tell me about this face tape stuff on the break,
Dude,
man.
it's
What?
real.
Face tape?
No,
Yeah.
literally, it's like it's literally a company that sells you tape, and you just tape your mouth shut while you sleep. I am not interested in this whatsoever.
Like breathe rights? Like over your nose?
No,
Like,
it's
this
over
is
your
over your
mouth.
mouth.
It's a little piece of tape that you put over your mouth, and it forces you to breathe through your nose, which is healthy for you when you sleep.
I'll buy it, guys, and then I'll report back.
I'd be scared I'd suffocate.
Same.
Well, if that's
Same.
how I'm going to go out, so be it.
I don't know if that's a very fun way to go.
No.
You can get more of your money's worth with that.
Man, Red gonna be missing out on
I
Mama
know.
Kayla sometime
I
soon,
know.
man. Goodness.
No, but I'll report back to you guys. But
Face tape.
I think all of us maybe lost some sleep last night if we were watching the World Series, but it ended up
Unfortunately,
a wild ending. Holy smokes.
What you said 4-1. Didn't you call it 4-1, Will?
In the words, no, I didn't call
I thought
anything
you
because I
called
wasn't
it
going to
4-1.
watch any of it. But then I got home from NSC backstage last night and was prepping the show. I was like, well, might as well watch this.
Yeah.
Here
It
we
was a
go.
good series, though.
Then it got real in the fifth.
You needed more than 5 games, but overall, it was very entertaining. There was a lot of excitement in that game. Like, the home run has done a lot for the MLB. Like, I know a lot of guys strike out a crap ton, but, like, the home run ball is...
Chicks dig the long ball.
Yes, they do, man. And that's what happened last night, time after time. And then the fielding. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, the
Errors.
Yankees are a little weak team defensively.
You open up the door and you have errors, and don't let the Dodgers back in because they came back and bite you.
Garrett Cole I don't know who's wrong. Garrett Cole or the first baseman on that one that the grounder to first. I think Garrett Cole thought that his first baseman was going to run up because he was close enough. But if you look back at it, his first baseman was back far enough to where the pitcher should have ran and tagged up first. That was the mistake.
Yeah.
Judge ends up dropping one flat out of his glove after making the
After finally getting into it.
hitting the homer early in the game, and then on top of that, he made an awesome center field catch. Man, hit the wall. It was awesome, and he couldn't make a routine play. I say that, but his eyes was up watching the runner. And then, of course, shortstop throwing it to Chisholm at third base. That was a flaw. Like, they just
collapsed.
For any dad, I'm specifically talking to the dads, myself included. If y'all ever, like, bash your kids out for making errors and just having bad moments, shame on you. We saw pros last night crumble in the face of just success, just crumble. So, man, y'all get off them kids back, man.
Right.
Let them enjoy and grow and develop. That was my main take from last night.
Well, congrats to Mookie Betts, his third World Series title from right here in Nashville. Went to Overton. I think that is extraordinary. And Walker Bueller, Vandy boy, coming in for his first save in his career was pretty cool.
Man, Mookie gonna think this is automatic. Like, winning one championship is hard. Okay,
it's incredible.
And his came from like 2 historic organizations.
Yeah,
Red Sox and the Dodgers. Like, what? That man been living
it's impressive.
Right. That's all I'm telling you. He been living right, or they pay for a very
Tennessee
nice
volunteer Mookie Betts.
There you go.
Well, congratulations to him, Walker Bueller. Also, that's some cool stuff. Watching.
I still hate the Dodgers, but congrats to those two.
Yeah, I ain't got no problem with them. I thoroughly enjoyed what the series meant, what it was like. We got New York and L.A., and L.A. dogged them. They should have dogged them. Oh, my gosh, what a choke job. Garrett Cole pitched his butt off, too. He absolutely was
Pittsburgh's
dealing,
former
man.
guy, man.
108 pitches last night before getting off the bump, man. What a show it was for people that enjoy, like, baseball. And I enjoyed it last night because he did everything he was supposed to do.
was
I
fun.
can't believe they fumbled like that.
Yeah, y'all know how much I love baseball. I think I watched about 20 minutes of this series.
Yeah.
Couldn't stomach it.
I think that's
loved
tough.
it.
Couldn't
Will.
stomach it with those two teams playing each other.
Yeah.
But in the words of David Ortiz,
They not like
Yankees
us.
lose.
They not like us. They not like us.
Which I'm always, yeah, that was going a different direction. But I'm never unhappy with the New York Yankees taking an L on the biggest stage.
What a joke.
But it's okay because Duke basketball is about to start.
There
So
we go.
I know the Cowboys have not had a good season, but Duke basketball is getting started.
Are they off Alabama?
Yeah. They're not Bama fans anymore. They're not Bama fans. There's nobody elite enough for them to hitch their wagons to in college football. Honestly, the Dallas Cowboys are about to lose the Yankees fans as well.
They are about to lose them. Who they go
But
to?
Duke, Cooper Flag, they're all in. Cooper Flag is going to get them right.
Yeah. Would like the old Alabama fans like try to ride Auburn up? Because Hugh Freeze is, they'll go to Texas. Where will they go? Where will they go?
2-5 or 3-5
Make sure they don't
Auburn?
go over to y'all.
Why would you join?
They can't come back.
No, we ain't worried about that.
Won't want them back.
We ain't worried about that.
Won't want them back, man. I think most folks that went to Alabama as Tennessee people just hate us so much, though. So we'll never get
I could
those.
see him going to
Actually,
Oregon.
If you differ,
Sometimes
let me
not
know.
really the case.
Huh?
There are a lot of, I don't know.
I don't
It's
know.
tricky rivalries.
I just feel like that's a hate thing. Like people have hated
Tennessee,
like,
Alabama?
Yeah.
Depends on how old you are.
Really?
If you're closer to my age, if you were old enough to know who Mike Shula is, then I think your allegiances are a little bit different. Like I got a lot of friends they consider LSU a bigger rival than Tennessee because we've never beat them in their lives.
That's fair.
But then if like their parents hate Tennessee,
Hate Tennessee. Yeah.
but their parents also probably didn't go to Alabama.
Never.
You can go wherever you want and be a fan. Everyone always gets
going
mad at
there
me
is
for this.
one thing.
It's just a joke.
But going there is one thing. But like you, at least as a fan, must go on the campus to a game. Like if you are, should that be the requirement that if you can and you're like a driving distance away, you should make yourself go to one of those games if you're a fan of those teams. Like if you're a Georgia fan here in Tennessee and you're old enough, like you should make. I ain't gonna say
yeah.
It's a hard
should,
ticket.
but you should find a ticket to a game.
Yeah.
Even if it's a like throwaway team.
It's
that
pretty
they're
cool,
playing.
all these schools down here, how they do it.
615-737-1045. Coming up this morning, Coach Dave McGinnis stops by at 7:20 for his weekly conversation with us. Chris Lee talks Vandy and Auburn. Talk a little bit of Commodores football at 8:20 this morning. The Thursday 3 in hour 4. And your comments throughout the day in the F&M Bank chat, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Coming up, Ramon made a statement yesterday that he thinks Sunday is Will Levis's last stand. Let's expand on that. Coming up next. Hey, what's going on? It is Will Bowling. It is a Titans home game weekend, meaning we are right back out there at the Bankers Alley Hotel. Gray and Dudley, we are tailgating before Titans and Pats this weekend. 221 2nd Avenue North, exclusive game day valet parking for just $30. Or you dine into Gray and Dudley, enjoy discounted parking for only $20. Look, we're in a great part of downtown. The smash burgers, the brats, the drinks. We got everything that you need. And we've got ticket giveaways as well for future Titans games. 221 2nd Avenue North. Come and see us. Gray and Dudley, the Bankers Alley Hotel this Sunday. Thursday morning, RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Yesterday, the Titans back on the practice field. And Brian Callahan saying we will try to get a feel for where Will Levis is after a little bit of rest. See how he feels throwing the ball, see how it looks. What did we learn yesterday, Kayla, in the locker room and from Brian Callahan about where we think Levis is and where this team is after another blowout loss?
Yeah, I think with Brian Callahan's answer that you kind of just put out there is still hope that he could play this weekend. I think the biggest thing, you guys, is how does he respond from being limited in practice yesterday? So my whole grasp on everything, and again, we will talk to Will Levis today in the locker room. It's been a little bit different since he's, been banged up. So we'll get some information from him. But I think it's all about how he responds to practice and how that shoulder is feeling. Because again, if you practice yesterday even limited and you go out today and you're still hurting, I think they're really going to monitor it day by day. So I'm not 100% sold, guys, that he's going to play Sunday. But I think for everybody that I spoke to in the locker room, like they're ready to go if he's the guy.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, then. How was the vibes yesterday? Vibe check.
I mean, I'll give him this. It's limited in terms of how many guys are in there right now, just because you get right done with practice. I think a lot of guys are getting right into the showers.
Yeah.
But I will say the guys that are available in there have been phenomenal. They've been stand up in terms of answering questions. Calvin Ridley spoke yesterday. Jeffery Simmons spoke yesterday. Peter Skoronski spoke for the second time, even though he was on the podium. He sat there and fielded questions again. So I think the vibe is good right now, you guys, for being a team that is 1-6. But that's why I think this opportunity on Sunday is so huge. I really do think it could give them a little bit of momentum moving forward.
One thing that's consistent, it seems like that most of them, at least for the ones that speak, consistently say we're better than 1-6. I want to see what that looks like or what all they got to clean up, but they keep continually saying it, and I can see that to be true, or why guys hold on to that as it pertains to what you can control. And it seems like the stuff they're going through in-house is stuff that they can control. That seems to be a consistent message, though, is we're better than 1-6.
Yeah, and I don't buy that as much in the NFL. Right? You really are who your record says you are when talent is more equally distributed in professional football than in college football.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to grasp, right? Because even when Jeffery Simmons was asked that question about, just how you guys are continuing to stay together as a team, and he said, well, our record is 1-6, but that doesn't really reflect who we are. And then he's like, but it does on paper. It was hard for even him to kind of explain it. What I will say, though, is when I spoke to Josh Wiley, one of the last people I spoke to in the locker room yesterday, when asked that question too, along the lines of what type of football team you feel you are right now, I will say he was very convincing when he talked about how he truly did feel this offense was a lot better than what we have seen.
Sure.
And again, it is overwhelmed by these stupid mistakes that these guys make. And they are the first to say, this is completely derailing us from being able to be an offense that can flow. So they know that these mistakes are happening. And I know they're trying to work on fixing them, but it's the figure of if you can.
When it's 7 games, I mean, it's just who you are.
It becomes that,
you're
right?
the team that makes really bad mistakes. Like, I don't know what else to say.
I just wonder who's owning most of this, though, because if they are making mistakes, then, okay, is it that the coaches are teaching it really good to you during the course of the week, and is player to player making these mistakes, or do coaches have to have more detail in what they're giving guys throughout the course of the week? Like, one or the other has to happen. If they feel like they're that close, well, who's messing it up? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just like the teacher walks out of the classroom and everybody's supposed to be quiet, but every time she walks near the classroom, she hears noise. But then she walks into the classroom and everybody's quiet.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I heard somebody making noise. So who's the one that's making noise and rocking the boat as it pertains to them making mistakes? You know what I'm saying?
You're
interceptions
right on.
we can see. Turnovers we can blatantly see. But on that 70-yard run, did the coaches not teach that up good enough to either Jack Gibbons, Kenneth Murray, or the defensive line to stop it up front? Quandre Diggs' pathway to the ball was bad too. So is that a coach conversation or is that a player conversation? And when we talk about because something has to be to blame for it. That's what I will say.
Yeah.
In sports, we can identify if it's good or if it's bad. So whose party is taking the blame for it?
And who's going to be the one who, figures out, okay, we've already made this our identity, like Will said. I mean, we've made ourselves the mistake Titans. And at some point, if you want to turn this around, like, y'all got to step up when you actually get on that field and you're missing tackles or you're having penalties that are costing the team.
Yeah.
At some point, if it doesn't happen, then it's just not going to happen.
Right. This year.
So, Ramon, you made a statement yesterday that you think this is Will Levis's last chance on Sunday. Last chance first. Let's expand on the point you made and are making. Last chance to do what? Be the guy the rest of this season?
Be the guy the rest of this season and planning for next year, too.
Okay. Why do you think that is?
Because history doesn't help him at all. Absolutely at all when it comes down to where he was drafted, what he's done so far, and the expectation of him moving forward. I had a list of drafted quarterbacks, and I can throw a lot of them out there, but the ones that are non-first rounders and even some of the ones that are first rounders, like the ones that were good, they had good moments, great moments early and consistent too. Like, I'll give you a few names here. Desmond Ridder, second-round draft pick, right? Started, found out really soon that he wasn't the guy. Now he's in a different location. Malik Willis, same conversation. Although he had a good game here and he'll get another opportunity, wasn't the guy in his original team. Drew Lock had some good moments, not consistent enough. Another second round. I had to go back years for that guy right there. Mason Rudolph, another guy that's in the same conversation as Will Levis is. Trying to get an opportunity, not really grabbing the bull by the horns as it pertains to their opportunity. Deshaun Kaiser, another second rounder that had a moment in Cleveland, right? But never could get over the hump. Like, the amount of quarterbacks that are just chewed up and spit out time and time again, year after year, because they don't pop immediately in the league, is just all against Will Levis at this point right here. And as far as his play, for me, like, I think they got to commit to him to see what they're going to get, Will. But what they've gotten so far hasn't solidified him as a dominant player in this league yet. And that right there is a problem for me, why I think it's super problematic.
It is interesting the point on Desmond Ridder and other non-first round quarterbacks. When Desmond Ridder got benched last season was after he played Will Levis in the Titans.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I know I think he had concussion last year too, but it was week 8 against the Titans. He went 8 for 12 for 71 yards, then did not play week 9. And that was an injury thing. I think they found out after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I remember they went to Taylor Heineke, out of halftime, Atlanta did in that game. But still, again, you're talking about Desmond Ridder, just to go with your first example, a guy who, again, not a first-round pick, and started 13 games, played in 15 games last year, went 6-9 as a starter, completed 64% of his passes, 2,800 yards, 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, an 83.4 quarterback rating. He was sacked 31 times in 15 games, which is a wild ratio.
Go ahead. I was going to say, going down that list and naming off those guys, a lot of those guys, too, have had opportunities now as backups. Yes. And I think, Ramona and Will, what I think about with this situation is if you ride Will Levis out the rest of the year, and who knows if he gets hurt again. That's the other thing that we've got to talk about with him. Or
more turnovers.
Right. I mean, he has kind of continuously been in this role of either you're hurting yourself or you're getting hurt. And that just in turn helps stunts his development even further. But if he is healthy, let's say, and they roll him out the rest of the year, maybe you grow a little bit as a quarterback, but it's not enough to convince the Titans. Maybe you can even get him out there and get a pick for him, right?
And see, that's my thing behind it, though, too, is just like we're talking about propping him up to do something good so that you can get something later for him, right? Like as far as like a draft pick. But like when it comes down to me saying him being the guy here, like as far as him making a case and making plays and looking like it, like if I bring up CJ Stroud, you say yes. And yes, it's fair to compare them. They're peers at this point, right? If I say C.J. Stroud jumped into the league and created a scene and is here to stay, we'd all say yes. I think Jaden Daniels is of that conversation right now. I think Caleb Williams is of that conversation right now. There's a few guys in this league that have jumped in and made splashes, and those dudes are the guys that stick. It sucks at that position, and that's the only thing about it for Will Levis is, and I know we're going to get into Kayla's question from Coach Callahan about the growth of quarterbacks, but there isn't a lot of time for these types of guys. Let's go back real quick. What year is this? 2022. We're 2 years removed from that year, right? Mm-hmm. And guys have to, where I'm saying as far as Will Levis is concerned, make splashes. They have to show that they are capable of making plays.
23, it's his second season.
Who's
Levis?
That? No, I'm talking about I'm going to go to the draft class of 2022 real quick.
Sure.
And just give you context about how this league chews up and spits out quarterbacks, because it's one of the most crucial positions to have. And here's the thing about it. If Will Levis now has time to sit back, recover from this injury, and also learn, there needs to be a better version of him going out on the field. That's what I mean as far as like his last stand. If there's not a better version of him out there on the field, then you are who you show us you are. Mm-hmm. And this 22 class, case in point, Kenny Pickett, Pittsburgh knew. They tried. They knew.
And he had a fifth-year option.
You see what I'm saying? He got traded away. They knew, though, is what I'm saying. Like, Desmond Ridder was the second guy. Falcons knew. Malik, we knew here. Matt Corral, all these guys have played and showed us who they are.
Not really, honestly.
Here's another one. Bailey Zappi. We knew. Like, there was a hope that the kid from Western Kentucky could make it happen.
And he's a backup now, but that's about all.
But we knew, though, didn't we? And here's another one. This is where it crushes Will Levis. Sam Howell. He had a nice little run in Washington. He did some good things, but you knew that his ceiling was low, right? Because of the things that he did. And I know a coaching change was a part of that, but so was it here. Like, these are almost one-to-one comparisons. Like, either you need to be, and it's hard to find this, but you either need to be Jaden Daniels, sorry to say, a Brock Purdy.
Well, you gotta show more consistent flashes than really just one game, and where everything has been downhill since the first game. Mm-hmm. To me, though, when I hear Brian Callahan say yesterday that you got to play a good amount of football to learn lessons in a lot of the things that go into playing quarterback, from the surface, I feel like, yes, this could be Will Levis's last chance, and if he doesn't play well, it's Mason Rudolph time. But Brian Callahan does not sound like a coach who is giving his quarterback a last opportunity. He sounds like a coach that might give another month to his quarterback, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's definitely, from my take in terms of some of the questions we asked him yesterday about quarterback development in the league, he definitely sides, I believe, on developing guys. And even I think I go back to when we asked him before they brought in a backup quarterback, he actually said, I prefer a younger backup quarterback. They didn't end up getting that. They got Trevor Siemian.
Right.
But that is something he did say, which also comes back in my brain of, oh yeah, he really wants to try to develop these guys. But as a first-time head coach, I think he is seeing firsthand, too, how difficult it is for everything to come together, especially with a younger quarterback. And so I understand his mission, and I really do credit him for wanting to try to give this a shot. But again, this is the NFL. It's the world that we live in. There's not a lot of patience. And so let's see what happens. I do think he'll stick with him a little bit longer, but I just don't think it would be more than this year.
Brian Callahan was asked, what is the balance between trying to win, yet also giving a quarterback every opportunity to prove themselves or not prove themselves? I thought this was a really interesting answer from the Titans head coach.
We're in a production business, and that's at some point you reach that apex where we do have to win or show that we're improving. All of those things are all a part of it, and you really want to make sure that the rest of the team feels the same way too. You reach a certain point where if they don't feel like that gives them the best chance to win, that's always the hardest part, because you got a bunch of guys that put their bodies on the line every week too, or it means something to them, and they don't take they want them held to the same standards. If your position is not playing well, usually what happens? Find somebody else. And so sometimes that you get to a certain point where that also happens, where guys are fighting and trying and fighting through injuries and playing hard, and they just sometimes want to make sure that the rest of it's in line with that too. And so that's where it gets tricky if you're not playing well and you're trying to develop and still win. So again, these are like really deep philosophical conversations for a Wednesday, but those are all the things that go into it.
To me, if the checkpoint for, okay, it's time to move on is how does the locker room feel about the quarterback? I don't feel like this locker room or roster has really turned on Will Levis. I just don't get that vibe. Obviously, I'm not in there, but you guys can speak to that more. I don't think we're there yet to what Brian Callahan is describing.
I don't think so either, but that's because Mason hadn't played well either.
I was literally just going to say
I think if Mason Rudolph had taken the bull by the horns these last 2 games, I think he might already be the starter moving forward.
I agree.
But he hasn't.
Right?
Exactly. So, and that to me is the problem in saying, like, it ain't the problem. They're supposed to. Like, these things are public conversation that they have to have. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, Coach Callahan has to buy into Will Levis because that's how the start of the season and off season went too. And he said it even in his conversation. If it's bad, then we got to move on, right? Like, that's the point of it all.
The minute that you said, you feel that from the guys in your locker room, I know he is very, attentive to what these guys feel, right? And we asked a lot of guys about Brian Callahan and how they felt about his head coach, and all of them still completely on board and feel like he's doing the best job keeping this team together while they are going through adversity. But the minute that you do have that division, I think you could feel that as a coach. He's been around teams for a long part of his career. Then you definitely have to make that decision. But then we throw in the whole thing again, guys. It's not even like Will Levis has been available. So it has made things even more tricky here when it comes down to really finding this answer.
Right.
Because it's just been injuries or bad play on both sides by either quarterback. So we'll see if we can steady it out here, starting with this game in New England.
So there's a comment in F&M Bank chat that says, just don't count Levis out. Here's the thing. Counting him out and saying this is his last dance, I think is 2 different things. Counting him out, like, I hope I am wrong. I hope this franchise finds their quarterback in a guy like him. And it could be Will Levis, right? But here's the thing about it. There's still the facet of him having to go and show and prove that to be true.
Absolutely.
And that, to this date, has not happened.
Right.
We got another comment, too, that says, what if Will Levis has a Jordan Love back half of the season? Becomes the Titans franchise quarterback. What would it take from Will Levis for you to trot him out there in 2025 as the week 1 starting QB?
What's leading? Let's say the second half of this season. Man, if he can get you 14-3, meaning 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, efficiency of play. Like, those are the only numbers right now that matter to me as it pertains to Will Levis. Sure. Like, his management and touchdown to turnover ratio being a whole lot better than it is right now, because I think he's got more turnovers than he does touchdowns.
Yeah. You got to be available, kid. Like, I
think it's more than just that, though.
Well, I'm starting with that because you're not on the field. You get hurt again. That to me is a signal too that I don't know if I can count on you moving forward, even if I want to continue to give you a chance. Say, oh, well, when you get healthy again, we'll give him another. No, I'm gonna probably move on the side of I don't want to be dealing with this in the future, because we're never going to figure out who you are then. Second of all is, like you said, efficiency. Got to see him be able to move this offense down the field, not just 1 or 2 drives, guys, but we've got to find that consistency from front to back. And I'm not saying it has to be perfect, but you've got to have that at some point, and then limit the idiot mistakes.
Yeah, I think the problem is
that's a lot.
I really don't know if there's anything he can do.
What you mean?
To be the guy moving forward, because he'll always still be capable of what we've seen him do this season. Like, the problem with Will Levis is not the ceiling, it's the floor. And it's going to take more than just now 10 games for him to show me that the floor can be raised. I just watched you at the beginning of the season show me how low your floor still is. So, like, I really don't, like, this team is going to be in position to draft a quarterback. So I don't think there's anything Will Levis can do to prevent that from now happening. Now, I mean, what he could do is still allow himself to be the guy despite who is drafted, I guess, and give himself a little bit, not even a backup, like still be the bridge quarterback and be the guy to start the season next year. But I don't think that's likely either. Like, I just think it's over. I really do. I don't know if there's anything that he can do now to continue to be the guy moving forward.
It's a hard climb out.
It is. You dug a deep, deep hole.
615-737-1045. Should Sunday be Will Levis's last chance? As in, if he does not play well Sunday, is he done as the quarterback? Your thoughts on that? 615-737-1045 at in the F&M Bank Chat, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We'll react to that more coming up next.
It's Ramon and Kayla here for Window Nation. Kayla, today's the last day of the month, October, and they still have a great deal going on where you can buy 2 windows and get 2 windows free, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years before the winter hit.
That is right. And look, on this Halloween, we are not tricking you. We are definitely wanting to give you a treat with our friends at Window Nation. They come with a lifetime warranty, and a lot of the people that have put their trust in Window Nation have come out with great results. You can look online, over 33 5-star reviews on Google. They've got a 96 customer satisfaction rate. So they're going to come in, they're going to install those windows, and they are going to save you money, because once the winter starts and you're cranking up that heat, you want to keep that energy in. So all you got to do is call them right now for their deal. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free. Plus, no down payment, no interest, and no payments for 24 months. Call them at 866-90Nation or simply go online to windownation.com.
Wrapping up hour one, RKW 1045 The Zone. 615-737-1045. What does Will Levis got to do in order to keep the job moving forward on Sunday? That's the question we asked. Brian in Gallatin is first up. What's up, Brian?
Man, I'm really disappointed in the offensive line. It's hard to evaluate anybody. I mean, Mason looked better last year, and he needs to do more. But I'm really disappointed in the offensive line. It's hard to evaluate anybody like that.
Thank you, Brian.
Do you agree with that?
I don't. Not as of late. Not as
They
of
played
late.
better.
Yeah, I don't know if I do either.
I don't know how many sacks have they had as of late. And sacks don't matter, but as far as detriment. But the biggest issue with the offensive line is,
Right
recently has
side.
been penalties.
And right side.
Yeah,
And
and the right
tackle.
side.
They don't have a right tackle.
Yeah, penalties has kind of pushed them back
That's true.
further than almost anything else this season. The protection and time, the last couple of games Mason has been in, like, he's gotten hit, but he's had time to deliver passes also. I think Mike Keefe said this the other night on this show, and he said, I would have loved to have seen what this offense would have been like had they kept it competitive. Because I do think we saw a better version of this past weekend.
I do too.
So the O-line was doing their job. I felt like the running was working and the passing game was working too after the turnovers.
Right. And again, you had some moments from Mason Rudolph he would like back as well that kind of stopped those drives. So it is hard when you're able to get in a groove a little bit and then you lose that because of those mistakes. Again, that's coming up again.
Yeah.
And I think that right tackle position, because we've harped on it so much because it's pretty much non-existent, I think sometimes that can overtake what really the offensive line has done as a whole in the last couple of games, and I do see growth.
Yeah, I do too. Like I said, I can give you optimism, right, as far as like what I think this O-line is doing, but nobody wants to hear that right now. This O-line is getting better.
Well, and two, a lot of the mistakes we've seen from the quarterbacks have been like irrespective of what the blocking is, right? Like if Will Levis is taking a sack because a guy just goes untouched in his face, like that's one thing.
That's different.
But we're seeing him account for a lot of those sacks himself from holding the ball too long and then throwing interceptions or fumbling the football in moments that, like, the offensive lineman didn't tell you to throw it right to the defense.
Nope.
No.
Like, you're fixating on your first read. So I think not all offensive line issues are created equally. Sometimes if you're making mistakes as a quarterback, like, you can just be making mistakes because you're not very good at this, not because the guys in front of you can't block.
No doubt. And I will say this on the back end of this conversation, I'm okay with being wrong. Mm-hmm. If he proves us to be the guy moving forward, it's just that the history of the NFL to be as unforgiving as it is, like, they don't go back to what they saw be bad more times than not, right? Like Jason Peters, the famous offensive lineman, right? Potential Pro Bowl. They kept going back to him at 40 years old because he'd been good.
Yeah.
Right.
I just, at this point, I don't think there is anything Will Levis can do to be the starter moving forward. I think it's over.
I'm leaning towards that way 100%. Mm-hmm. What spark has he? And he said that this offseason, I got to do more than what the Atlanta game.
Yeah,
Have we
hasn't.
seen
He
that?
knows what he has to
I know,
do, right?
100%.
But you have to go out there and do it. And you can't be in your own head. And maybe this sitting and having this injury has helped him reflect and calm down his wiring. But that's a lot to prove. And you got to prove a lot of fans that too, because a lot of fans are out on it.
The NFL, not for long, right?
Yeah.
I thought Drew Lock was going to be the dude after he had some good moments in Denver. Second round guy, gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the dudes that you got to somewhat deal with as far as, like, trying to hit on a quarterback. And it's hard. It really is hard. And there's a lot of pressure on those dudes, too. I will acknowledge that. But, man, you get that opportunity and you run with it, man, the world is yours. Carson Wentz is another one. After the first year or so, like, he was seen. He was out.
Yeah.
So I ain't going to say what makes Levis that much more forgivable than Carson Wentz. But what makes him that much more forgivable?
Yeah. And Callahan said yesterday, when I was asking him about quarterbacks and young quarterbacks specifically, he said quarterback is one of the toughest positions to play.
He said it's the toughest position in sports, and he's right.
It is.
Yep.
We're going to hear that answer coming up. And it is a big conversation we had yesterday, more of a league-wide and NFL topic as much as it is a Titans topic. It was a long, detailed answer from Brian Callahan. We're going to give you the full context, though, of what he said on how organizations develop and identify quarterbacks. Interesting stuff yesterday. We'll play for you coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Y'all, it is still spooky season. Tonight is actually the spooky day, man, and we're all going to think about Halloween tonight and probably take our kids out. But also, from Hiller, this month is all treats and no tricks with my friends at Hiller. During their Spooky Good Fall giveaway, which is going on right now, you can still get that free Blackstone griddle, Solo stove, or Yeti Tundra cooler with select home upgrades that Hiller offers, or simply enjoy $99 specials like an HVAC tune-up. For more details, visit happyhiller.com. Brand new shipments are arriving every day at Genesis Diamonds. Rare, precious, natural grown stones or diamonds. Straight from overseas diamond cutters, rounds, princess cuts, ovals, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, every shape, every size. Each one handpicked by Genesis owner Boaz Ramon. People here know this. When it comes to diamonds, this is what Genesis does best. Rock bottom prices on exquisite quality. That's extreme value. And on top of that, Genesis has the designer rings that other jewelry stores don't have. Genesis has cornered the market on the top brands in bridal design, names like Tacori and Viragia. So you can get a ring to really be proud of. And no other jeweler gives you the experience of Genesis Diamonds. They have no commission salespeople, no pricing games, and no risk whatsoever. They are committed to your happiness and making you a repeat business, all right? So they go out of their way to make sure that you leave with nothing but smiles on your faces. Genesis Diamonds, where you get the respect you deserve, the quality you want, and the value you need every day. So check them out. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs and the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
It is 6:59. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. The Titans back on the practice field yesterday, and the first injury report of the week is out. Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley, Amani Hooker, Tony Pollard, Dylan Radins, L'Jarius Sneed, and Tavondre Sweat, all non-participants. Quarterback Will Levis was a limited participant, and head coach Mac Callahan had this to say as the young quarterback works his way back from injury.
The more important part for Will right now is going to be not just today, but Thursday, Friday's worth of days consecutively throwing to see how that goes. He feels good after the rest and some time off of throwing, so we'll see what it looks like as the week goes along.
On the Patriots injury front, Drake May was a limited participant Wednesday as he progresses through the NFL's concussion protocol after suffering a concussion this past Sunday against the Jets. The MLB season has come to an end as the Dodgers defeated the Yankees last night 7-6 to win the World Series in 5 games. 2 eighth-inning Dodger sac flies proved to be the difference in that one. Freddie Freeman named World Series MVP with a .300 batting average, 4 home runs, and 12 RBIs in 5 games. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Happy Thursday and welcome in to hour 2 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Will join us in just a moment. We are happy to have you. You guys can get involved. We are on Facebook. We're on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, wherever you want to see us streaming. And of course, you can listen to us on the 104.5 The Zone app.
Yay.
Happy Halloween. Hopefully the Tennessee Titans will treat us with a win on Sunday, Ramon. But we've had this quarterback conversation this morning, not only just on Will Levis, but you've brought up some really good points when it comes to some of these second rounders that there is not as much pressure per se on them, but they are quarterbacks who have historically not really been able to win the job as the starter when it's all said and done.
No doubt about it. And again, NFL, I put this in our F&M Bank chat on YouTube. It's like, it also stands for not for long.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's that for a reason. You have the draft for a reason. You have free agency for a reason. And it's all about how much can you show me that P word I like to use, potential. You know, like I need to be able to see it quick. And we went through a list of quarterbacks and guys that had opportunities and, you know, was just trying to figure it out as it pertains to what they're going to be. Like you're going to look at almost any draft class and say, yep. No, yep, no. And we went through one real quick, the 22 class. And
it was bad.
But we knew this within 2 years of like having the answers on are they the type of guys or not, right? And there's only one out of this group, the 2022 NFL draft. Kenny Pickett, Pittsburgh knew after 2 years. Okay, Desmond Ridder, another second rounder, just like Will Levis. Atlanta Falcons doing as soon as they can get an upgrade, they did.
They did,
and Malik Willis, we knew here. And here's my thing about Malik. Malik can go be better somewhere else, but as far as like the original franchise is what I'm speaking about right now, it's quick.
It is.
It's bad,
You
though.
have to be sometimes, right? Though, in this day and age.
Yes, on those decisions on are my guys, is this a guy for me to build upon?
Yeah, and it's not saying that these guys won't get another chance down the road where maybe they are the backup and they sit for a while, and then when their time is called to come in for a starter, like Gardner Minshew let's say became a starter at some point.
Yeah.
He's a better backup, but he got his opportunity, right?
Also this with Gardner Minshew, nobody's looking for him to be the franchise guy.
Exactly, and they know that.
He has a role, right? He has a role.
Yes.
But I'll finish this 22 class since it's most recent. Mac Corral, not really anything there. Bailey Zappi, not really anything there. Sam Howell had a shot with Washington, had some moments.
Not good enough.
They're not going to build with. That same year, 7th rounder, Chris Oladokun. I think he's right now at Kansas City, if I'm not mistaken, but backup guy, 7th rounder, not really the guy. Skylar Thompson
I think he's played a time or two in this league. Not the guy. The last one on this group in class of 2027, Brock Purdy.
Wow. And that's just a gem in a situation where you never really find that.
But think about this though, too. The point and this is where I'm at with saying if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you better find it real quick because Brock Purdy's Mr. Irrelevant, right? We know that. We've heard that story. But what Brock Purdy did was not only did he just come in and create moments and make plays, but he stayed making plays. Now, you can say that's a Coach Shanahan and a system, but guess what? They're trying to form a system here for Will Levis, right? And you got to also work in it by not having turnovers, by not throwing interceptions consistently and making routine plays for your team and those X plays for your team. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I don't ever want to count anybody out. Heck, somebody took a chance on me as an undrafted player. You see what I'm saying? I understand and empathize with that because to make it is an awesome feeling. But you also got to hold up your end of the bargain as it pertains to you actually making it. And that's why, to me, if Will Levis is starting this upcoming weekend, Kayla, this could be the start of his last stand if he don't make those proper steps to being the guy.
You got to help yourself. That is one thing that definitely, comes into play in any situation, in any career. This is what's interesting and why maybe Brian Callahan is different in terms of how he looks at the quarterback position. He is a guy that believes in development, but again, how much time you have, that is a real thing. I asked Brian Callahan yesterday about young quarterbacks and how they succeed in the NFL with minimal time.
In terms of the young quarterbacks in this league, we just saw a situation in Indy with Anthony Richardson being benched. You've been around the game for a while in quarterbacks. Do you feel like there is less patience, or does that kind of vary from organization to organization in terms of how they are setting up a quarterback for success?
How long do you guys want to sit here?
I was just saying you probably have a great long answer on that.
I think there's a lot of things that go into that. There is, and I think before I speak on any of it, I think every situation is a little bit different, and every player and organization has different ways they go about it. So I'm not speaking for anybody, but I just think there's a couple of factors at play for some of the things that happen in the league. I think one, the quarterback position is the toughest position to play in sports. It's really difficult to play quarterback, and then it's even more difficult to play at a level that everybody wants their quarterback to play at. The top 4 or 5 guys in the league, everybody's searching for that. It's really hard to do, and there's some of the factors I think are, there's the economic factor of having a young quarterback on a rookie deal that allows for financial flexibility, so you can build a better roster and not pay the quarterback what they're getting paid now, $60 million plus now, as a part of the whole picture of building a team. I think college football and NFL football are so dramatically different right now. There's very few pro style offenses in college. There's a lot of things about what those guys do in college that works really well in college, and then there's a whole different level when you get here. The biggest thing for me, the protections, understanding protections, how to protect yourself, how to set protections, the pressures you see in the high leverage spots in games. So those are just some minor things, but there's also then now the patience part, which, as we all know, as I said the other day, there's not a lot of patience in pro sports in general, and sometimes it does take a little bit of time to learn all of those things. And then there's you're balancing winning with developing, and that's a very, very hard thing to do in pro football, probably in every professional sport, because fans want success and ownerships want success, and all of those things are all normal. They're part of it, but I think sometimes those things conflict and they run into each other, where you're trying to win because people's jobs are on the line, and then you're trying to develop because guys need development. So it's a really tricky thing, but I think it also stems mostly from the fact that it's just such a difficult position to play, and there's so much demand on that position that you have to play a good amount of football to learn all of those lessons, I think. So I could talk about this for a really long time. I won't bore everybody, but there's a lot of things that I think go into it.
Okay, most difficult position to play. You blocked for quarterbacks. Is he right?
It is, but everything else he said, yes, he's correct
right?
on that because the weight of the franchise is on your shoulders. That is probably by far one of the most purest answers you can get, and it also gave you the answer to the questions we've had too here. Like he mentioned, like the reason there's so much pressure because you got to figure out if they're the guy before you got to pay them now $60 million. Also, trying to develop and also win to appease the crowd and to appease his teammates and ownership. This is why it's so pressurized too. And on top of that too, Kayla, like you're in a spot to where the production and just steps that have to be made to see if you're going to be better, like we can evaluate that in real time. And right now, like I said, if Will Levis is back behind center this upcoming weekend, his ability to show us he's taking proper steps of developing, making decisions, making plays, because those are all things that go into satisfying your teammates, right? Because they judge you too. Hey, man, we know who's the weakest link, or we know where problems are for why we're winning or losing. And that goes from the players, that goes to the coaches too. We know if a coach is bad. We can't say it in public, right? He's not going to bash Will Levis in public, but like this is one of the most telling answers I think you can ever get. And if you truly listen to him, like I think Will Levis is in a spot. Will Levis and Mason Rudolph are both in spots to where it's either now or we're going to create a compartment for you, a department for you that labels you as a backup. It's that simple for me.
And that's how fast you can be labeled as a backup, right? Because of all these things that he listed. And he listed them all, guys. Quarterback, it's the toughest position to play. The economic part of it. There's very few pro styles in college now that
Will
transition
Levis also
well.
played in a pro style,
but
and
it's
so
like
did
he didn't
Mason.
play long enough, right, Mo? We've talked about he needed to play more football too to be really automatically ready to go in his first year and be able to be successful.
I will say with his situation and also Mason's too, right? Because those are two quarterbacks that are here that are playing. They both played pro style in college. They would drop backs, throw the ball, diagnose the defense as much as they possibly could, and go to who's the open target. So if he's had that in his past and he gets to the NFL and it's not translating over when his former college OC is now an NFL OC, then it just might not be there.
Yeah.
So he gave a list of reasons, Kayla, as to why it's important and why it's such a hard position to hit on and to judge, because there's so much failure that comes with it. It's just that you got to give me hope of saying I'm the guy or I can pull my team to the finish line. And right now I'm not seeing a whole lot of that. His career starts and wins for Will Levis. He started, let me pull this up real quick. He started 10 games in his career here as a Tennessee Titan. He's 4-10. No, 14 games. 14 games.
Okay.
14 games.
14.
Started. Okay. He's 4-10 as a starter. I've always been told, now I know he's young, and I know everybody will bring up like, well, Peyton Manning sucked in his rookie year. You're right. But Peyton also was the #1 overall pick. There's a difference in the two right there. And then also Peyton was in a position, he made that year 2 jump. I've always kind of said this about guys. What you do, what coaches have always told me, what you did in year 1 is not going to surprise me or wet my whistle in year 2. That's the same for offensive linemen, which is why I thought it was so crucial for NPF to really need last year instead of being suspended for the gambling situation. You see why I like that? That's crucial. So as much as we want to say Will Levis ain't played 17 games, he has had 2 full NFL years.
Yeah.
And in those times, though, he's 4-10.
He's not rised up to the occasion, period. And there's and you can't say, and try to argue really that he has, because even if he's progressed somewhat in his play, which we have heard from Brian Callahan, there's been some growth in Will Levis. It's so overshadowed by the inconsistency, the mistakes, and I know it's not his fault, but the injuries now have hindered him as well.
Yeah. And so, real quick, if we say week 1 is an anomaly, Will Levis threw 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and that Chicago lost. The flip 6 was a part of that. Well, in week 2, we had another interception and 1 touchdown and lost to a bad, what we now know is Jets team. In week 3, the same thing. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions against a backup that was once here, and Malik Willis. And I know Green Bay is a good team. But my point is, like, good quarterbacks, they win half the games for you. The team does the rest because it's defense and special teams and everybody else making their plays. We're not seeing that right now. And I'm hoping this weekend, if he starts, we see something similar.
Yep, he will certainly get a chance. Well, we'll get our chance talking with Coach Mack like we do every week. Coach Dave McGinnis coming up next. We'll pick his brain. That's on Ramon, Kaylin Will here on 104.5 The Zone.
What's up? It's Will Bowling. I love talking about Waterburger with their 16 Middle Tennessee locations spanning from Clarksville to Murfreesboro. They get me fed. Always fantastic. And right now during breakfast, you got one more day to take advantage of their great offer here in the month of August. Now through tomorrow, you guys can get a free 12-ounce hot coffee or a 16-ounce iced coffee with the purchase of any breakfast entree between 11 p.m. and 11 a.m. You have one more day to take advantage of this offer, and you can redeem this offer as many times as you want. Go buy them today. Go see them again at 10:55. Then tomorrow morning, you can go a couple more times. You can stay caffeinated as much as you need during breakfast hours. It's available in-store, at the drive-thru, online at Waterburger.com, and on the Waterburger app for curbside pickup or delivery. And I'm feeling a honey butter chicken biscuit just talking about it. Go by and see them. Waterburger.com, open 24/7, 364 days a year with 16 Middle Tennessee locations from Clarksville to Murfreesboro. Waterburger, just like you like it.
Welcome back into Ramon, Kayla, and Will on this fine Thursday. And when it's Thursday, it means we've got Coach Mack in the building, presented by Two Rivers Ford. Coach, how we doing?
Hey, guys, good morning.
Hey, Coach Mack.
Hey, Coach Mack. Yeah, I've heard that quite a bit out on the streets, and it's great. I love visiting with the people, and I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Yes, indeed, Coach Mack. We're glad to have you here, man.
It's Halloween. Are you dressing up?
No, I've got some people in town from Texas and points beyond.
Nice.
And, when I was doing the OTP with Mike and Amy a couple of weeks ago, they've got, Snickers is one of the sponsors, and they've had a big jar of Snickers there. So I said, I'm going to take these Snickers so I can have candy to hand out. And they thought I was kidding. I took them all.
You took them?
So
joke's on you.
So
it's funny you say that.
No, that's Jackson's favorite.
Yeah.
Snickers.
Jackson, you like Snickers?
I do, Coach.
Well, you should have told me, because I only have about 7 million of them at the house.
You did.
I'll bring you one.
Yes.
Because I went over there to shoot a podcast on Monday, Coach Mack, and I saw the jar. The jar has been filled up for a very long time. It's been consistently full, okay? And it may have been 3 left. That's all I'm telling you.
Are you serious?
Somebody took them.
It needed to circulate them. And so
You're doing good.
I told Amy and Mike I'm taking these.
And you
love
did,
it,
Coach Mack. And you did. Kids got to eat, man.
Yep.
Kids got to eat, and plus, they all come to Coach Mack's house, and you get they're getting a big size candy bar.
Yeah.
I'm gonna promote it.
I got talked about last year.
He's doing it now, too.
Yeah, I got talked about last year because I did overpromise and undersold, Coach Mack. I did. And former Titan, Kevin Long, called me out, Coach Mack. He was like, I thought you were having big candy bars this year. His kids were highly upset with me, Coach Mack. They were.
Well, always under promise, over deliver. Don't do the opposite.
I did the opposite last year, Coach Mack. But this year,
I know you.
we hit the big box store and picked them up already.
Go to Ramon's house.
Exactly. Well, we are hoping that the Titans deliver this Sunday with a win, Coach Mack. Let's dig in.
Yeah, let's go.
Brian Callahan, I asked him yesterday about the fine line between, developing a quarterback and the pressure that comes with the timing of it. He had an incredible answer. Just in terms of, we just saw Anthony Richardson benched recently. How difficult is it this day and age to be a quarterback and find success within 2 years?
Well, I mean, it's not difficult. The expectations now are immediate results, and then the quarterback has to help. I mean,
absolutely.
Look, it's not all on the coach, and it's not all. It's everybody together. So I don't think there's a blanket answer to it, but I do know the real answer to it is in the way it is now is that especially quarterbacks that are taken, especially first round quarterbacks, they're expected to produce immediately.
Yes, they are.
Just because the way it is financially in the National Football League, you've got a quarterback on a rookie 4-year contract that if he's a first round pick, you've got a 5th-year option. Then financially, you're in much better shape to be able to put a team together around him. But the quarterback has to cooperate and has to develop. If that doesn't work, well then you've got to pivot to something else. And so that's the whole issue. But this is a production business. Half my adult life, this is what I've done in this, and it's a production business. And if you're going to stick around, you've got to produce. That's the bottom line of it.
Ain't no other way around it, Coach Mack.
There's no other way around it. I mean, that's just, that's for everybody. And and people may I know people don't. It's not harsh. It's reality.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. Before the quarterback became this much more important, and I know they've always been important because I'm a former union guy myself. They spoke about the quarterback clubs and how the quarterbacks separated themselves from everybody else. It's always been, Coach Mack, everybody and then the quarterbacks. And I think that's fair because a lot goes through that, right? But the question I have is, let's go to the late 90s, early 2000s real quick, when the running back I felt like was probably the most important player on the team. Like, was the weight of, like, the running back being the guy the same as it was, the same way it is now for the quarterback? You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I understand your point, and the answer to that is it was because, offenses were a lot more run-centric back then, but still you had to have that dude under center.
Yeah, okay.
You just did, and you're correct. because the running back used to be, most teams were identified by who their back was. When I first got into the league, it was Walter Payton.
You knew.
That was the Bears. But you had Jim McMahon, and it generated, but when you're turning around handing off to a running back,
right.
but the quarterbacks have always been, and Ramon, to your point, once this game expanded, especially expanded horizontally and vertically through the air, became the quarterback.
It became more. I just wondered, has there ever been in a position that ever felt the weight of it the way the quarterbacks have right now? And it's always been the quarterback?
Yes.
It's always.
Just go. You can start. Recency bias. Everybody thinks of this, but go all the way back to. Think about Fran Tarkenton at Minnesota.
Yeah.
Think about Y.A. Tittle at the Giants.
Right.
Think about Don Meredith at the think about Roger Staubach at the Cowboys. It's always been the quarterback.
It's always been the quarterback.
But just the emphasis of the offense has swithed more to the quarterback because it's more in the air centric now.
And the running backs are still just a common, because my era of watching LaDainian Tomlinson, Emmitt Smith, you know what I'm saying? You mentioned Jamal Lewis of that conversation. Eddie George is in that conversation of the importance of those dudes. And like you said, the expansion led to, we got to find our guy and find him right now at quarterback.
Well, and once free agency came in, and then once the salary cap came in, and then all of a sudden now you're making not only personnel decisions, you are making financial decisions not only for the year, but you're making financial decisions for 4 and 5 years ahead.
Down the line, no doubt.
Coach Mack, when it comes to this matchup this weekend, yet another opportunity for this team to, first of all, get their first win at home, but second, to maybe build a little bit of confidence in themselves with the win. What are you looking at, though, with this Patriots team that comes in with his former teammate, Gerard Mayo?
Well, they're still doing things the Patriots way, whatever that is. They're an odd man front. They're a 5-man front. They're playing really solid defense. The thing that they don't have that has been talking about, who was the center. Tom Brady was the Patriots for a long time, and Bill Belichick. But they're still, because Gerard played there. Yeah. He's still doing a lot of the same things that they're doing, and they're built on physical defense, and they're running the football. Regardless of who the quarterback is, Ramondre Stevenson is going to get the ball. That's just the way this is with this football team, and whether it's Drake May or whether it's Jacoby Brissett, they are not going to change the structure of their offense at all, because I've done 5 games on them. I start on Monday after you clean up the games that we play, and then start my work on the opponent. 5 games, and they're going to do the same thing. So. And to your point, Kayla, no professional athlete, nor professional team in the National Football League, losing really, really sucks.
It does.
And so they are, as regardless of the record, they've won 2 ball games now. They won their last one. But regardless of that, all you look for as a professional football player and as a coach, if you're in a ditch, not winning game, all you look for is that feeling of winning. Mm-hmm. And so these are 2 football teams that it may not garner the national attention, but I promise you this will be a very, very hotly contested game, because both these teams, they have to win.
Yeah.
You mentioned that I was listening to you on Mac Talk the other day, and I heard you bring this up. It's like there's only one way out of what they got going on. The 2 W's. You said working and winning, Mac.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And working entails a lot of different, tangible things that move off of that, and everybody in their own segment, and then as a team, there are a lot of things that go into it. And work encompasses a whole lot, but that. Working on what is going wrong is a huge part of it, but winning won't cure everything, but it will at least make it more, tasteful when you go to work the next week. Because I just can't tell you how, yes, I can, I will, because I know how miserable it is. I've experienced it, twice in my career when you're in a ditch like this, just how miserable it is and how hard you want to work your way out of it.
So winning is like putting A1 on a well-done steak, Coach Mack. Like if it's medium, then you can just eat it without the steak sauce, Coach Mack, is what I'm telling you. If it's well done, we can tolerate it with some steak sauce, is what you tell me.
Ramon, I know that you got a lot of chef in you.
Exactly,
so
he does.
I'm going to take that at face value.
We cook medium steaks. Coach Mack, real quick, Kayla. Yeah. As one conversation that's been consistently coming up, and being inside locker rooms on losing streaks. I've had losing streaks before.
Sure, everybody has in this league.
Everybody has, right? But in those moments, I hear out of that locker room consistently, we're better than 1-6, or we're better than 1-5. What does that mean, Coach Mack, from what they see on tape versus what people outside of the building are evaluating?
Well, it's when you're losing, you work even harder. You work even more, and you know how much work you put into it. But we've talked about this on this show before, and I talk about it. When people stop me, when I'm out, hey, Coach Mack, I tell them the things that you do. I mean, you live week to week in this league anyway.
You do.
I mean, and you just do all kinds of, and you know what everybody's put into it, because you can't fool anybody in an NFL building, especially an NFL locker room, as far as to who's in and who's all in. And then when they see everybody that you're all in and you're doing the things leading up to it, and then you don't get the result, then the rewards, as I've said before in this business, the reward is not money. It's just not.
No.
The reward is winning, and everything else comes off of that.
Yeah. Calvin Ridley said it to us yesterday. We're trying to work hard for our brothers at this point. We're trying to, be the best we can be for our teammates. You have to keep that mentality, because you can never give up on your own teammates either, because that will fall apart as well.
Well, and if you don't continue to work, then you're not going to be around.
Exactly.
You're
out the door.
I thought that it was fascinating, the story that Coach told about Ridley being out there, catching 200 balls on the jugs.
The tennis ball machine, right, too, now?
Well, they call it it's a great name.
What is that, Mac?
Whoever invented it is really, but first of all, it's a little red machine, but I mean, it's hand-eye coordination. But Amy and I, Wells and I, were walking by it yesterday after practice, and we look, and you know what the name of it is? The Lobster.
It is not.
Yes, it is. It's the Lobster, and that's a genius name, a little red thing, but spits those balls out there at different levels and at different speeds. It's hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
And he's been on it a lot, he said. How much do you feel like even maybe some of the detailed work that he's put in recently is kind of helping him finally get in that groove? We saw it last weekend.
This is a veteran player.
He is,
and he knew, and he doesn't feel like he had been performing up to that game to his standards. So he said, "I've got to find something else to try to. I got to do something to help myself, not just say, well, I've done it before, so it'll just come." So that's part of being a professional, is finding a way to dig into something else and not, resting on your laurels, because I mean, he's got plenty of success, but it's the self-satisfaction knowing that you're doing everything you can to be able to help your team win. And that's a professional. And there's a gap between being a professional and being paid.
No doubt.
There's a big gap.
Speaking of that gap right there, addition by subtraction sometimes is a good thing. It was, I'm sure, for a lot of people tough to stomach D-Hop not being here, but immediately you got a better version of Calvin Ridley, Coach Mack. Isn't seeing that type of response right there from the offense, at least in the first half? Those are the things why God said they're better than what they are.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it's incumbent upon every single player to do that. I mean,
rise up.
You got to, and trying to dig beneath. And again, I coached in this league for too long to sugarcoat anything.
Right.
But when you dig into it, you can see some areas where they've improved from when they started. The offensive line's one place.
Love it.
I mean, you can see that, but it's not enough. It's not enough to win right now. And then all of a sudden, what happens is other issues keep popping up. The coverage was a huge issue.
It was
last week. So, and that fix right there should not be. I mean, there's 53 1/3 yards. You got 10 people covering. Do the math.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 5 yards. That's 2.5 yards either side. I can touch you and you. And so, I mean, that's discipline, and that's getting off of blocks, and that's making tackles in space. And plus, there's some elements that go to it, because the first element, I mean, the snap, all the timing is perfect. I mean, we've got one of the best dudes in the league doing it. But the coach talked about more hang time.
Absolutely.
The gunners being the first guys down, being able to funnel. I mean, there's a lot of those things technically that have to happen that they work on all the time, but you got to do it in the ball game.
Coach Mack, how as far as Coach Brian Callahan goes, first time holding the papers on the sideline and managing the entire operation. For you, somebody that's been in that position before,
I
too.
have.
Mm-hmm.
How much growth did you have, Coach Mack, in being either whether you were up in the booth and coming down to the field? How much growth and things that you learn in those moments?
Well, that's a great point, a great question. You do a lot of self-reflection as a first-year head coach.
Yeah.
Every week. Daily you do, because because even when you're coaching, whether you're a position coach or whether you're a coordinator, you got a lot of responsibility on you.
Yes.
But once you get that head coaching job and you're sitting behind that desk and that door closes, it's all on you. Mm-hmm. Now you hire people to help, but ultimately it comes down to on you. So it's a different mindset when you're a head coach. And believe me, I know he's not getting much sleep because you just agonize over it, especially if you are not being successful, and you try to dig everything that you can. I think he's handled himself very well, with the press conferences.
Yeah.
He's very open, and he knows people are disappointed. He knows that people are frustrated. Yeah. But there is nobody more frustrated and more disappointed than him. But the thing that you have to continue to do, because everybody's looking to you, the player, as to how you handle, situations that aren't going well. And so, you ask me what it's like. I mean, when I got my first chance, I had a lot of head coaches that I used as mentors called me when things weren't going well. Say, all right. So you wanted to be a big time ball coach.
Absolutely.
Now you got to start. Now this is what you need to do, or this is how you need to think. But know that everybody's looking at you, and that's just what it is.
Yep.
It is. And that's why we love you, because you come in here, you tell it how it is. Coach Mack, we appreciate you. Brought to you by Two Rivers Ford. Every Thursday with us. Have a great call this weekend, Coach.
Okay, and come to Coach Mack's house if you want large Snickers.
Ooh, it's on now between Moan and Mack.
No, man, I did not overpromise. I am telling you, I got them because I took them from Mike Keith and Amy Wells.
Go and see him on this happy Halloween,
you didn't
guys.
steal them, you took them.
Exactly.
I told him I said I'm taking these. See you guys.
See you, Coach. We'll turn to college football when we come back. It's a rivalry that is taking a bit of a turn in terms of where they'll play this. We're going to have the details coming up next on RK Dub here on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, what's going on? It is Will Bowling. It is a Titans home game weekend, meaning we are right back out there at the Bankers Alley Hotel. Gray and Dudley, we are tailgating before Titans and Pats this weekend. 221 2nd Avenue North, exclusive game day valet parking for just $30. Or you dine in at Gray and Dudley, enjoy discounted parking for only $20. Look, we're in a great part of downtown. The smash burgers, the brats, the drinks. We got everything that you need. And we've got ticket giveaways as well for future Titans games. 221 2nd Avenue North. Come and see us. Gray and Dudley, the Bankers Alley Hotel this Sunday.
Welcome back into RK Dub on this Thursday morning. Ramon Foster, Jackson Williams, Kayla Anderson in, and a little bit of a change for a well-known rivalry. It is Florida, Georgia. It is known as the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. I personally have never been, you guys.
I hadn't either.
It seems great, and it has been in a neutral site in Jacksonville. But starting in 2026, this is according to a report from the Action Network, they are going to be moving that because the Jacksonville Jaguars are renovating their entire stadium, which, by the way, is like $1 billion project.
$1.5 billion project. Yes.
It's going to look completely different.
I just saw the renderings of it. They're putting a translucent roof on it. Yes, they're doing that. And they got like a little back, I guess, hat bill on the back of it, too, that goes to the ground. I don't know what it is. It looks futuristic. It looks crazy.
It looks like a alien UFO or something.
It does. I got a bone to pick a little bit with all these indoor stadiums. Like, I can almost understand Florida but because it's so hot down there and everything, and you want events at all the stadiums, but not every stadium needs to be a dome. Like, there is
Buffalo's not doing it. They're keeping their outdoor stadium, right?
Exactly.
You saw it firsthand.
Yeah, and it's coming
on the way up.
They're raising that place up fast.
Yeah, they are.
By the way, but I like the outdoor component of it.
I kind of do too. And look, it's also comes into play too when you're in these cold weather cities and maybe you've got the advantage of the home team. Yeah. So that's interesting. And so now what will happen is they will be playing in Atlanta in 2026, also indoor stadium, and then they will be playing in Tampa. So the next time,
27,
right?
Yeah,
so
27.
Are you guys, Jackson? I want to invite you in on this conversation. Big college football fan for the Vols here. Does this matter to you guys in terms of moving a neutral site? Because when it comes to me, you should just be playing your rivalry games home and home.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. Washington State, sometimes they play at the Seattle Seahawks Stadium. So I guess we play those neutral sites too.
Right.
I feel like this was the perfect opportunity to get a rare home and home for this series.
Yeah.
You have 2 years. It's even.
No.
You could do a home and home and then go back to Jacksonville when the stadium construction's complete. I feel like this was a missed opportunity by moving it to Atlanta and then Tampa.
Right.
Big time miss, though, because, okay, so what are they actually saying? Like, they want outsiders to come and be the fans of those games if they go to neutral sites? Because all it does is complicate and make people spend money they probably don't want to spend, although they want to be there because it's one of those types of events. They should at least, to your point, Jackson, did a tester and see if it works out better on campus, because there's a lot of, like, how many students are going down to Jacksonville, you know what I'm saying, from Athens to watch this game on a regular basis? Probably not many, and maybe that's where the campus needs a break for a little while. But I do like the idea of rivalries being played on campus. I like what neutral sites can do for you here and there, but there is no reason for them not to have done this one this time around.
It's almost like they wanted to just keep the tradition of a neutral site. So that's why they continue to do this. And then they're pandering more when it's in Atlanta in 2026 towards the Georgia, people that can get there closer. And then in Tampa, when it comes there, they're pandering kind of more towards the Florida part of it. But the game is going to return to Jacksonville in 2028 to me, guys. And I've been to Jacksonville. It was my first ever road trip with the Titans back when I got here in like 2015 or something. I'd rather never go back to Jacksonville.
Straight up. Oh, my gosh. Jacksonville is just one of those cities, though, man. I see somebody said, Vandy Man in our F&M Bank chat said, I thought London was the Jags home game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much how it goes. Jacksonville is just one of those, like, off-putting, like, NFL cities. So I guess they do have to beautify this thing, which, causes a little bit of chaos for the world's largest cocktail game. So it's a cool, I guess, sentiment that they're trying to make it home. I mean, neutral sites, but it doesn't make sense on this one. College football is all about the campus effect.
I agree.
I've never been. I'd love to hear from somebody that has gone to this event.
Yeah, if you've been to the world's largest cocktail party, call
because
us.
I always looked at it in a very smug way, because when I was playing with guys that played at Florida or Georgia, like whether it's Marquise Pouncey or Bud Dupree, it was just really just like,
man, so what? Y'all got a cooler game. I don't nobody care about you. Like, I didn't care about it.
Sure,
Is
and
the
maybe
way I
they
was
do.
with
And that's,
it.
I'm like, if you've been there, call 615-737-1045. I'm interested to see what it's like and if it is a big deal that it's on a neutral site. So.
Like, is it like the Derby? You know what I'm saying? Where you
Exactly.
get dressed up for it? Or like, is there like a drink specialty that goes into like it being the world's largest cocktail? It just seems to me as an inconvenience almost. And I know it's traditionally been in a neutral site, but college football is probably better suited on college campuses for the most part, other than big bowl games or championships, right? Like, I get those to where you got to sell out a bigger venue.
Well, coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will as we enter hour 3, Vols and Kentucky coming up this weekend. And Austin Price, he joined us yesterday. He was talking about Squirrel White's availability, but could there be another guy who should play a little more in his place? We'll get to that conversation. That's coming up in hour 3 of RK Dub here on 104.5 The Zone.
8 o'clock on the dot. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. Titans back on the practice field on Wednesday, and the first injury report of the week is out. Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley, Amani Hooker, Tony Pollard, Dylan Radins, L'Jarius Sneed, and Tavondre Sweat, all non-participants. Quarterback Will Levis was limited yesterday, and head coach Brian Callahan had this to say on the young quarterback's recovery from injury.
The more important part for Will right now is going to be not just today, but Thursday, Friday's worth of days consecutively throwing to see how that goes. He feels good after the rest and some time off of throwing, so we'll see what it looks like as the week goes along.
On the Patriots side of things, quarterback Drake May was a limited participant Wednesday as he progresses through the NFL's concussion protocol after suffering a concussion this past Sunday against the New York Jets. The MLB season has come to an end as the Dodgers defeated the Yankees last night 7-6 to win the World Series in 5 games. 2 eighth-inning Dodger sac flies proved to be the difference. Freddie Freeman named World Series MVP with a .300 batting average, 4 home runs, and 12 RBIs in 5 games. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome into hour 3 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will on this Thursday. Happy Halloween, everybody. We've got Ramon Foster, our Vol for Life, our 11-year NFL veteran. We've got Jackson Williams in for Robert Walsh. Will Bowling, kind of going and easing the tummy a little bit this evening or this morning. See, I don't even know what day it is, what time it is, because it's just that time of the year.
Well, at some point, I think I'm going to go let these windows up in here, man. We live in a cave.
You need some light?
Man. Yeah, y'all like dwelling in the darkness. I like the light a little bit, okay?
I just don't like the light coming on the side of me because it, like, blinds me in one eye. So, yeah, but you feel free to open up that window over there because I agree. It's a little dark in here today. I heard it's supposed to rain a little bit later because if you are taking the kiddos out, make sure to check the weather before you go out there. We're supposed to get a little bit of rain today.
For our, I guess, hourly Halloween talk, trick-or-treating talk. One of my most memorable moments on trick-or-treating.
We got to bring it back full circle here.
When it used to get cold in Tennessee in October, like, I'll never forget, we were in Covington, Tennessee, and it was Halloween, and we had to go trick-or-treating. Kayla, there's no way we're not going to go trick-or-treating, okay? And our parents had told us, my mama and aunties had told us, it's supposed to rain, y'all better be careful out there at a time in this world where you can just send your kids out across town, and you don't need no adults. So guess what we did? Went all across town, and close to when we were about finished, it started raining, cold rain. And then it started sleeting, Kayla, just a little bit, too. You want to talk about
what was
miserable...
your costume? Did it keep you warm?
That night, it was something cheap. I was older at that point. I might have been like 10, 11. You know what I'm saying? I'm running around town with my cousins and stuff then. But I'll never forget, that was one of the most memorable trick-or-treating events I've ever had in my life. Like, it was literally raining and sleeting outside.
It kind of makes it fun.
We had to have that candy, though.
You have to get that candy.
We had to have that candy.
You guys, I took so much pride in going out and getting the most candy and then comparing it to my brother when I got home. He was 5 years younger, and we dump it out. Yeah. And we say, who has the most candy? And then to top it, who has the best candy? Oh, you got Milk Duds? That ain't nothing. That's minus 5 points right there.
Milk Duds. Oh, they are throwaway candy.
Dude, those are nasty, and they get stuck in your molars and stuff.
In your teeth. Yeah, you better not have any crowns on your teeth.
Nah, not yet.
Yeah,
thankfully. Well, again, this weekend, the Tennessee Vols going to be wearing their all-black jerseys, kind of theme-wise with Halloween being today. And we spoke with Austin Price of On3 yesterday. When we asked him about Squirrel White, he's clearly had some issues, right? And has not allowed him to be 100% productive in terms of himself because of the shoulder. He's been dealing with some other things. And this is what Austin Price said about maybe a potential other slot guy getting involved in Mike Matthews?
Coach Heupel basically said yesterday, Mike's got to do some of the little things off the field, on the field. You just have to be more consistent. But, he hopes that he can be a player for them. As for Squirrel, we'll see. I mean, it wouldn't shock me at all if he didn't play this weekend, but I do think that, the hope is for him to play this weekend. But at the same time, he's got some of those nagging injuries that, I'm not sure are going to get healthy till the off season. So, I guess it depends on how he's feeling week to week.
So Tennessee football, of course, we get the injury reports now. They released theirs on Wednesday night. So Saturday's night, a game against Kentucky, junior wide receiver Squirrel White not on the list for the Vols. And again, for injury, yes. And so this kind of then still opens up the question of, do you think Mike Matthews, who we've talked about a lot on this show, should get more of an opportunity since maybe Squirrel White has not lived up to it, but the injuries have kind of held him back?
Yeah. So Austin said something. When he mentioned some stuff that Mike Matthews has to do on the field.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm cool with that. That means learning the playbook, knowing what you're supposed to be doing as far as like my routes, where I line up at, the plays, making plays, catching the football and stuff like that. What Austin said, though, was on and off the field. What isn't Mike Matthews doing in the building? What is he not doing in class? Those things right there matter to college coaches because it sets a precedence for what you're going to be moving forward. If you're a guy that misses study hall or gets C's and D's,
sure,
coaches tend to believe you're going to be a problem and we can't trust you. So I don't know if that's Mike Matthews' issues or if he's just being rebellious because he's frustrated. Either way, you got to communicate those things and find a way to get past those immaturities, right? That's what you're asking. And I know we've talked a lot about Mike Matthews and the expectation for him and what he can do for this team. And I believe that because, according to the scouting departments, he's a 5-star, right? And you got to always take care of the 5-star. But what you do not do is sacrifice your integrity of your team because this guy's a 5-star. What I'm saying is don't be handcuffed by the idea that you may lose a guy. Right? Especially when you're already having some success, and he could possibly help you more. But I feel like we've talked a lot about Mike Matthews and his introduction into the offense because he's a 5-star
You're right.
wide receiver.
You're not wrong with that.
And coaches have standards. I know Coach Rodney Garner, if this was a defensive lineman that wasn't doing what he was supposed to, and Coach Rodney Garner said, he ain't coming out there until he does stuff on and off the field, I think we'll have a little bit more respect for it, right? But you look at his situation as far as Mike Matthews, there's clearly something going on that he can control, and he's not controlling those. And as it pertains to Squirrel White, I will say this too. Maybe because Squirrel is available again is because of Mike. Squirrel's not willing to give that up. And
he's going to fight.
Yeah, he's fighting because there is a lot of talent behind him. And you got to tip your hat to that guy. But what I will say is he's not a quarterback, so he's able to do those things. The same what we're speaking about on the pro level, Will Levis, like he can't afford to be injured and play because it really messes with his career. Squirrel is in a position where he can go and as much as he possibly can show his toughness at the wide receiver position because there is young talent behind him. The issue is, can Mike Matthews get out of his own way to make himself available and productive for this Vols squad?
Yeah.
That seems to be a him problem more than it is the coaches trying to keep him off the field.
That's the way it's looking because even when you look at the injuries that maybe Squirrel White has had, he didn't record a catch in that game against Alabama. And then he, of course, left the game when he landed on his shoulder.
Yeah.
He had a season-high 7 catches at Arkansas for 38 yards. He had a season-high 71 yards 2 weeks ago against Florida. But they still continue to believe in Squirrel White that if he's healthy, he can be productive. And again, Mike Matthews hasn't been able to take over that in any way.
He hasn't. And it's because Squirrel won't move over. And I don't blame him. I wouldn't, give my spot up for a guy that's a freshman that has probably more talent than me. But here's, if Mike Matthews answers the call and he does do what you want him to, put him out there, though. Because, as I said, not to be handcuffed by him, but it may get side eyes from guys who are of his caliber that may want to come to Tennessee. They'll say, well, you don't play 5-star guys. I do know this, though, a guy that was between the Vols and Ohio State last year and ended up choosing Ohio State, Carnell Tate. Like, he's somewhat in a similar situation. I think he's playing a little bit more for Ohio State right now, but his freshman year, there wasn't much burn for him either. So it's a balance of and we heard Coach Brian Callahan mention this a little bit when he was speaking about the quarterbacks. College systems and college coaches are all in on trying to win by any means necessary. And that may mean not playing guys that should be played or putting guys out there that's going to simply help me win games, because this college football playoffs is a matter of wins and losses. The game is in general. And why would I sacrifice putting a young guy out there that's not ready to help me win games right now? And I don't care how many stars he has, right? Unless you're Dylan Stewart out here for South Carolina as a freshman, it's hard to make a case for a guy when my offense is working just as much or the guy in front of him is just as good right now. I can't force feed a guy when my guy is already eating. And Squirrel has 8.
He has. And part of that now, too, that's interesting that coaches are tasked with making these types of decisions is because the transfer portal is open. So that's gotta be tough for a coach to weigh exactly how you're going to stick with developing guys or stick with your way of how you're going to run your team and then balancing with that. But we could lose this guy.
But that's where it comes into the integrity of you as a coach, right?
Yeah.
Your standards of the locker room. Because if you allow somebody that's missing class or got issues, I don't know what his off-the-field stuff, because Austin, again, said at the front of that, he's got some on-the-field and off-the-field stuff.
Which can mean, you're a football player. You've played at the college and NFL level. It can mean so many things, right?
It can mean class. It can mean, I don't know what he's done, but it's usually class, responsibilities, grades, right? And that all leads to how you run your program. One thing that we always now can admire about Coach Saban, everybody's under the same microscope, right? Yeah. One way to divide a team is to give somebody preferential treatment, and the rest of the team goes by different rules. And Coach Heupel's not at that spot with how they got this program running right now to bend the knee to a guy because he's a 5-star. And truth be told, if Mike Matthews leaves, I'd hate it. Most fans will hate it. But you know what you got to do is trust in your coach by saying, I'm not going to break because you're 5. I'll go find another one. That's the way the game works, right? We speak about the portal. Look at where Brew came from, the former 5-star, right? He left USC. We're benefiting from that. So it's not like it hadn't happened to other people. These are just the games that you play when it comes down to the portal and balancing your team. But at the end of the day, at the very end of the day, I cannot risk losing my room, my locker room, my players because I'm afraid of losing one. You. And that's my take on the Mike Matthews. I want to see him out there, true.
But I'm going to stay true to who I am as a coach and what I'm trying to build.
You have to. Because I saw that firsthand a little bit with Coach Foreman, my regime. This is when the stars mattered more. I ain't gonna say they didn't matter, but the recruiting of having a top 5 class, having a 4- and 5-star linebackers and DBs, we started playing them early, and those dudes got a little bit more leeway, and next thing you know, you lose those winning ways. You lose having, in the college world, truthfully, control over guys. Those are the types of things that happen when you don't have dudes meet your standards as a coach.
You're absolutely right. It's a really good point there, Ramon. We're going to stay on the lines of college football, but we're going to transfer over to a little Vanderbilt talk.
That's right.
The West End, as the Vanderbilt Commodores and the Fighting Diego Pavias are going to be on the plains this weekend, taking on Auburn. Chris Lee of VandySports.com has all the insight. He's going to join us. Stay connected on the lines. We'll get to you right after that. You're listening to Ramon, Kayla, and Will here on 104.5 The Zone.
What's going on, guys? Bert and Ramon here to tell you about North Point Roofing Systems and how they can get you a new roof. But you got to act now. Super easy. All you got to do is go to 1045thezone.com. But the contest ends soon, Ramon.
It does. November 3rd, a roof will be given to somebody in this area, man. Listen, the holiday season coming up. It's about to get a little chilly outside, man. And bills also about to pile up a little bit. We can just be completely honest. Listen, the roof ain't got to be for you. It could be for somebody else, man. Simply, as Bert just told you, go to 1045thezone.com. 104.5thezone.com and register. Tell us why you or somebody else might be the most deserving homeowner, and maybe North Point Roofing Systems will be by your house to put a new roof on your truck. Again, 104.5 The Zone and register. Bert, tell them what they need to do.
Go get your roof.
Welcome back into Ramon, Kayla, and Will on this Thursday, a spooky, kind of dreary Halloween as we're seeing it out there. Going to get some rain today. We've got Chris Lee in here. We're excited to talk a little bit Vanderbilt football, sprinkled in with maybe something in terms of basketball and baseball. Chris Lee of VandySports.com joining us now. Also the podcast host of Southern Eastern 16s. Chris, how are you?
Good morning. Busy time in the world of sports, and I'm happy to be on with you guys.
I'll just start with really quick, Chris, too. Vanderbilt representing again last night on the biggest stage of the World Series. Walker Buehler coming in and getting his first save in terms of something like that at that level in the MLB. How cool was that?
Yeah, we're really happy to see him. I mean, I've been watching Walker Buehler since he was a freshman at Vanderbilt. I just remember a kid when he's a sophomore, he's got 4 pitches he can throw for strikes. You know, you get in the big leagues and it's velocity, and he's blown out his elbow twice. And you've heard him speak about coming back and maybe not throwing as hard. But reading between the lines, maybe relying on more of your stuff, which he's always had such a great repertoire of pitches. You know, I think the go-to pitch last night was a knuckle curve, which I didn't know he had until this year. So I'm interested to see how that goes for him going forward. I think if you get Walker Buehler back to, you know, maybe he doesn't have to throw 98, 99, 100, but if all the pitches he's got in his arsenal and throws them for strikes, I'm really interested to see what, you know, I don't know if a career rebirth is too strong, but kind of what it looks like on the other side. Now it looks like he's got his health back in order, and just really happy for him, excited to see what he's got ahead.
But it is that way, though, with him a rebirth of his career, though, would you not say? Because, again, that's a part of being a pro, and I will say, for the people that's been around it, as far as, like, not just being a thrower, but being a pitcher, is that essentially what you're saying he's turning himself into now?
Well, that's what it feels like, and I guess there's a little thing in the back of my head. I remember when Kyle Wright had his rebirth with Atlanta, you know, they talked about I don't remember which organization he was with. I guess it was the Braves. They had taken away his breaking pitch and had him throw a different one. It was the one that he had been really, you know, that was his bread and butter at Vanderbilt. And they were asking him the year after he won 20 games, you know, what was different. And I may have got the timing wrong, but I think the truth remains the same. And they said, well, you know, I went back to the breaking ball that I had at Vanderbilt was my best pitch, and I think they changed him from a curve to a slider or whatever, and he went back to the one that he had before. And he said, once I got that back, I started feeling like my old self again, and the results kind of followed, to paraphrase what he said. And I do wonder if it's the same thing with Walker Buehler, that just a change in approach and, you know, maybe pitch selection and the things that, using some things that he did that worked in the past for him, you know, maybe will be a thing that makes him, and look, his career's been great, right? Mm-hmm. But it's been probably 3 years since he's really been good. I mean, I think the last year that he really pitched to any degree, he wasn't the same. I'm guessing that he wasn't 100%. You have Tommy John, it takes you, you know, a year to get back and then probably another year to find your feel for pitching again. Now that he's past that window and we saw what we saw from him in the playoffs, it feels like maybe we got a career path ahead that looks in terms of success a lot more like what we saw from him before the injuries and the health took a toll.
Man, congratulations to the Dodgers. And I don't know if I've seen a bigger choke job than I did from the Yankees. So I don't even know. Oh, my gosh. I'm not sure who you're a fan of, but watching that game last night, you know how baseball is. It just goes down, and then you have, of course, Cole up there just doing his thing, and it's nothing he can do about it.
You know, my son plays 10U baseball, and his coach is a good friend of mine. He's a big Dodger fan. We're watching the game, and we have this just kind of this running gag. We play double headers during the year, like on Tuesday nights, and the first inning of every game is just a disaster for us. Like, by the time we get to the, you know, game 2, we're good. We found our footing, but like we do things, you know, that we know better and drop balls and all kinds of stuff. And I texted him in that 5th inning. I said, man, That Yankees fifth inning looked a lot like our first innings that we play in our doubleheaders and weekdays, and he knew exactly what I meant. I mean, you know, I guess the gift in that is these guys make baseball look so easy, right? And every now and then, things like that are just a reminder of how hard the game is. These guys played at such a high level that when they make little fundamental mistakes that the rest of the baseball universe makes, our eyes kind of pop out of our head. But yeah, I mean, that was not anything I expected to see with those three huge defensive mishaps. And Garrett Cole failing to cover first, that and that spot was just mind-boggling.
Yeah, that's what I said this morning. I said, if for anything, Chris, us baseball dads and moms just need to shut the heck up when them boys make errors or they strike out, because we saw it on the biggest stage. I'm done with the baseball, but like I said to myself, hey, Dad, shut up. That's all I got for myself, Chris, after last night.
Yeah, better to make it at 10 than on that stage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Chris Lee of VandySports.com joining us now. Let's switch over to football because it has been really exciting when it comes to the Vanderbilt Commodores this season and what they've been able to do, kind of taking on the identity of their quarterback in Diego Pavia. Just explain to me, like, what you have felt from Vandy fans and what they've been able to do at this point. How much are they believing in this football team?
I think belief is the key to what they're doing because, look, this is a team last year. They played 9 games against Power 5 opponents. They lost every one of them. They didn't come closer than 17 in any of them. And I'm just thinking, you know, in order for them to get better to any degree of significance, they got to be a lot better, right? I mean, closing the gap from losing every game by at least 17 against big-time opponents to being able to beat somebody, that is a massive undertaking. And it was going to take belief, which is easy to talk about, and it's very difficult to pull off. But, you know, I saw them in fall practice. The offense looked awful at times. And there was still a confidence. And I, you know that going in, they're changing offenses, they're changing coordinators, they're changing quarterbacks. They got 3 new offensive linemen. You know in camp that it's not going to look like it's going to look during the season. But I felt like they had so far to go. I wasn't sure if they were actually going to get there. You know, you fast forward to we're on Halloween. Vanderbilt's worst loss is a 4-point loss to Georgia State. Nobody's beaten them by more than 4 points yet. They're 10 points from being unbeaten. I mean, who would have ever thought we'd have said that? But it all starts with belief. Even when it looked bad, there was a very quiet confidence that we've got a good football team. Now, I didn't believe it till I saw it, but now you see it. And I think that there's been 2 games that really struck me is illustrating how they see it. And one was the Alabama game. And Kayla, you've been in winning and losing locker rooms before, and sometimes a team gets a big win, and it's just this unbridled jubilation. And maybe I missed that part, right? But I'm walking through the building to get to the press conference, and you don't hear these spontaneous, like, eruptions of delirious joy in that building. Like, I walked through the coaches' offices where the family was there, and everybody was in a good mood, but it wasn't like all this screaming and yelling. And then you get to the press conference, and they talk about how they expected to win. And I know they did because they said it during the week. And the reaction afterward lined up. It wasn't like, oh, my goodness, I can't believe we won that game. It was like we thought we could win. We just needed to go out and take care of business. Well, the Texas game Saturday, same thing. They lost this one, but they're an onside kick away from winning it. And you go into that press conference, and it's like someone's dog had died. And in the past, when they come close in that spot, there's a lot of, hey, we played great, we're this close. They were having none of that. They were like, we thought we were going to win the game all week. We should have won the game. Anything less than a win is disappointment. And it's just those were reactions in both those spots that I don't know that I've ever seen out of Vanderbilt football. Save maybe James Franklin. And James was never in games to that degree against big-time opponents like Clark Lee and the staff are.
Man, that's fascinating you say that, man, because I'm looking back right now as far as like Clark Lee's pathway to this point right now. First year, 2-10. Next year, 2022, 5-7. So they make a step in the right direction. And you have 2023 last year, 2-10. this year, 2024, they're one game away from being bowl eligible and could get it this weekend on the Plains against Auburn. What was the decision in today's college world where winning matters and winning quick matters even more, to where you have the Vanderbilt brass stick with Clark Lee?
Well, you brought up 2022, and I think that was in some ways the best thing that could have happened to them and the worst thing that could have happened to them, because Clark comes into this job and he's thinking, all right, I'm going to do it the way that, and these are my words and not his, okay? Like that Wake Forest did it with Jim Grove and those guys, where they don't have the talent, they don't maybe have the admission standards of their peers in the league, but what they did is they bring in guys, they develop them, and they'd spend, 5 years in Winston-Salem, they'd redshirt a year, and by the time those guys got to be fourth and fifth year players, they would win games just based on experience. Well, the whole model that Clark Lee had was built on that kind of thing. We will find talent and we'll develop it. Well, the first thing that happens when he gets in is basically the world gets turned upside down with the portal and NIL and poaching and all the stuff, and there's no way to really execute that plan. But I think when they won those two games at the end of 2022 against Kentucky and Florida, that was some sort of validation to where, okay, our approach is working. Well, it wasn't. Their roster got raided. They didn't have their NIL together. They lost a lot of their good players, and last year was a disaster. But in that disaster, they went back and looked at last year, and they said, hey, look, in 2022, we won games with Mike Wright. He was a mobile quarterback. He wasn't the best passer of the football, but what he was a containment nightmare. When it's 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 10 and the play breaks down and he scrambles and gets loose for 15, they went back and said, we need to find something like that. Right around the time they're coming to that conclusion, they stumbled upon Auburn getting beat by New Mexico State and Jerry Kill and Diego Pavia. They said, all right, we've got this idea. These are guys that have kind of executed it. They made a plan. They went about it. They said, we're going to try to do what those guys did because it gives a program that's undermanned with resources and disadvantages across the board a chance to win, and boy, they ever executed that.
Chris Lee of VandySports.com, kind enough to join us today to talk a little bit about the Vanderbilt Commodores and, the success they've had this season. Let's get into who Diego Pavia is and what he has been able to do for this team. He gets hurt in that Texas game. He goes into the tent. He wraps up his knee, and then he's back out here. Have you seen anything like it in terms of this guy's guts and just the grittiness?
Not often. I think Clark Lee said it best. He said they're going to have to amputate a leg for him not to play. I don't know what they do in that tent. Maybe I don't want to know, but all I know is that kid is not coming out of that game. In the Kentucky game, look back at that one. He limps off the field. Last play of the third quarter. He comes back. He goes in injury tent. They go to commercial break. You come back. He's got a knee brace on. Leads him to a win in that one. I mean, the kids between the ears, mental toughness, I've never seen anything like it at Vanderbilt.
Wow. Chris Lee of VandySports.com with us this morning. I got a twofold real quick. I had somebody in our YouTube chat ask the question, how does Vandy feel about the remaining schedule? Because, again, it gets a little challenging. South Carolina has their issues. Tennessee does. Auburn even does this weekend. So that one. And also indulge us a little bit with Dave Pavia, what is it, Diego Pavia's family. They show them on TV all the time, and they look like they have a great time in the stands each weekend.
Yeah, I think to the thing, they think they can beat anybody, right? I mean, they really do. And you would think they were full of it, but I've seen it with my eyes and my ears, and you've seen how the results have come out. Now, it is also a team where a lot of stuff has to go right. They turned the ball over 2 times all year. Coming into the Texas game, they turned it over 3 times. They lost the game. So, this is a team that lost to Georgia State. It's a team that beat a bad Ball State team by 10 points. So, it's not the highest floor team either. They got to be on point, and if they're on point, I legitimately think they have a shot at anybody because the results say they do.
Right.
I've not met the Pavia family yet. I've had, guys that work for me that have. It feels like it's a rolling party at their tailgate. They had a DJ there last week, I was told, and they're rolling in 50, 60 deep, whatever it is. What? I mean, good for them. I don't know their circumstances, but I gather that, that they weren't the richest family growing up. That, everything that they have gotten, they have had to work hard for. And those are the stories that you love to see in America. I'm here rooting for that whole thing because, man, it has been fun to watch.
One more thing before we leave, Chris, is Chris Lee of Vandy Sports.com joining us this morning. This is a very special situation. And like Clark Lee said, really embrace having a guy like that here this year in Diego Pavia. With saying that, is this buildable? How buildable is a season like this, Chris?
Kaylee, you've really asked the million-dollar question, because my take for a while has been, okay, this is great, it's fun, but it feels like you're also kind of building a situation around a one-on-one guy in Diego Pavia. I mean, he may be the smartest football player I've ever seen at Vanderbilt. He just doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's not the most physically gifted guy, but, man, he makes it work in a way that you've never seen it work here. So part of me says, I don't know that they can go find another guy like that. Maybe they find the next Mike Vick, is a high school kid somewhere and hang on to him. And you got, like his backup, Nate Johnson's like a 10, 300-meter guy or something like that. He's fast as lightning, but he's not skilled as Diego is. I think first thing is they've got to figure out the quarterback position and replace him. But I'll tell you another thing. He didn't play that well Saturday by his standards. Texas kind of locked him up, and kind of in the background was a defense that held Texas under 4 yards of play, made a bunch of sacks to end drives, and put them in a position to win. They played much better defense the last 3 games, and that's another thing. While the offense has gotten all the attention, the defense has gotten, I think, a lot better of late. So I think that's a storyline with them, that maybe they got a chance to win that isn't getting talked enough about. But however you slice it, this is a coaching staff that is finding ways to win. I think, they've got a big task ahead replacing Pavia and probably just about their whole offensive line. But I'm starting to feel like maybe there's a scenario in which they can have some success. I don't know if it's next year, but it doesn't quite feel like the uphill climb as much as it used to with the way they've been able to execute this season.
And just real quick on that point, I just want to know if there's anybody that you can get in the sales department to figure out if Vandy faithful Jimmy White bought a piece of the goalpost that was in the river, okay?
Please.
And did it sell out? Like, seriously, did it sell out already?
The goalpost?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I don't know if they make that publicly available or not, but that was good for them. We were talking about in our post game, like they ought to sell the goalpost and cut it up into pieces and make some money that way and give people a memento of that game. And lo and behold, they did it. So hats off to Vandy for going with a good marketing idea. They need more of it.
Right. Well,
win big, man.
Right? Win big, and you get those types of things. We're glad that you're enjoying the season. We always appreciate your good insight. Chris Lee of VandySports.com has been our guest. Enjoy the weekend.
Absolutely.
Thanks. You guys, too.
Thanks, Chris. Great stuff from him. We will maybe touch on a little bit of what he said. Plus, I promised you we would get to your calls. We've got Mayor Ron about to give his speech, and Matthew coming up next here on 104.5 The Zone. It's Arcade Up.
It's Ramon Foster for Princess Hot Chicken, y'all. Just letting you know, they have locations all around the city, okay? 5814 Nolensville Pike. There's also one at the Assembly Food Hall off Broadway, or hit up the Tanger Outlets off the Cane Ridge Parkway. They're everywhere. Even if you're leaving the city, you're coming into a stop by and get you a plate, man. Also, right now, holiday season and catering is happening right now, which means family gatherings, work functions, parties. Let Princess Hot Chicken cater to your holiday party. Whether it's 15 people or over 1,000, they got what you need, okay? Princess Hot Chicken, but did you also know they have a vegan and vegetarian options too, like portobello wraps, chickpea salad sandwiches, and more. They can custom anything for you, from your high-end event to the very popular Friendsgiving, where no one wants to cook. Simply go to princesshotchicken.com for more details.
Welcome back into Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Happy Halloween. Everybody hopefully traveling safe to work today. And thanks again to Chris Lee for popping on.
Yeah.
Great segment talking about
Really
the Vanderbilt Commodores and Diego Pavia. I thought it was awesome, too, just the question we were both going to ask about, is this buildable? And in so many ways, it gives you hope for this program, before we get to our callers really quick, to build off of the success, even though a lot of it comes from the quarterback.
The quarterback. And I guess that's the point to be made in the NFL, right? If you got your good quarterback, you change a lot of your trajectory moving forward. But in college, it does come down to the sustainability of it, because is this Diego Pavia's last year also?
Yes.
So who's, to your point, is Vandy, do they have the funds to play the portal game for the long haul of this thing until Clark Lee gets his guys in? Great question and great answer by Chris Lee. So I just sent him a text like, man, that was good stuff.
You can always go back and listen if you missed that segment. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, wherever you download your podcast. Let's go straight out to the phone lines before we get to Mayor Ron. Let's go to Matthew on the topic of Halloween. What's up, Matthew?
What's up, Matthew?
Good morning, my people. I hope you're all blessed today.
You too.
Absolutely.
I'm calling with a little PSA that the Metro Police put out about Halloween candy.
Okay.
You know, there's crazy people out there in this world. Unfortunately, you got to deal with them. They've got intel that's saying that they may be trying to stuff Titan tickets in with candy, and we don't want kids getting them, okay? I'm just saying, that's pretty damn scary.
I didn't know I did not know where Matthew was going with that, but oh my goodness.
I see somebody got a trick this morning for us.
Oh my goodness. Matthew bringing the jokes this morning.
Maybe the kids need some.
That's pretty funny.
A chaperone to take them to the game to see a potential Titans win this weekend. Man,
Thank you, Matthew.
That was a good one, Matthew.
That's funny. Let's
That's
go
our
out
first
to
one.
Yeah, exactly. Mayor Ron. We are now hearing from him every week.
Love it.
During this, presidential election season, he's giving us more so in the terms of sports. Mayor Ron, you are on the air.
There they are. Good morning, RK Dub.
Morning.
Good morning, Mayor.
We're losing candidates. They keep going to other cities and running there.
They do. It's price of doing business, man.
My fellow Titans fans, get better, get better, get better. This message is Callahan's motto or creed. Monday's press conference, 15 times he said it indeed. We all know the timeline is in 3 years. At the end of the day, be honest so we can face our fears. A spooky day, eerie feelings arose at dawn. Our special teams is a ghost. He gone. The great pumpkin is our honoree. Make a tape, says Arden Key. If you're going as a Titan, oh, Henry I'd be. The Titans gave us no choice of trick or treat. Have you heard it gets worse at $20,000 a seat? Here we are. Let's hand out some candy. A Butterfinger to Chig sounds handy. A Snickers across the league. In Indy, Richardson got crackles. A Milk Dud for Levis. Starburst for Pollard. Does Mars explain our right tackles? The people deserve more than a fairy tale of make your own luck. Get better, because right now, Titans fans, you just got to embrace the suck.
Mayor Ron on this Halloween. Oh, my goodness. I'm wondering, is AI writing this? Because it gets better every weekend in terms of the creativity. He's bringing Halloween references in terms of candy. I mean, my goodness.
He hit every angle of it, Kayla. Hey, Mayor Ron, I'm proud of you, man. That was solid. We might just run that by itself right there, back there, Jackson. That was solid, man.
Jackson, that was Jackson's first time hearing Mayor Ron, was it?
That was good. That was
yes.
Good. That was good.
Exquisite.
That was exquisite. I'm at the point right now with Zach, you might have to step it up a little bit on Fridays, is all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Mayor Ron's coming in with the music.
He's coming in hot.
He's coming in hot with facts.
Yeah.
And he's coming in with a lot of reason. He's got my vote.
Woo!
I've already voted, but I might pencil him in on somebody else.
Pencil him in. My goodness. We appreciate you. And again, you want to try to top that, call in 615-737-1045. We've got an hour of the show to go. And when we come back, Jeffery Simmons still doesn't feel like this is a 1-6 team. We'll explain. That's coming up next on Arcade Dub here on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Will Bowling. Lee Company's annual food drive, Vans for Cans, is back. Now until Friday, November 22nd, Lee Company will be collecting canned food items and other non-perishable goods in partnership with local food banks to provide meals for our neighbors in need this Thanksgiving. You can also donate online at leecompany.com/Vans, the number 4 cans, and every dollar donated equates to 4 meals given. Once again, make a difference with Lee Company by visiting leecompany.com/Vans, the number 4 cans, through Friday, November the 22nd. I love partnering with Lee Company because of things like this. They are so embedded in our communities. They've been a part of it since 1944. 615-567-1000 is the number to give them a call. And again, online at leecompany.com/Vans, the number 4 cans, to make a difference this Thanksgiving.
It is 8:59. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. The Titans back on the practice field on Wednesday, and the first injury report of the week is out. Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley, Amani Hooker, Tony Pollard, Dylan Radins, L'Jarius Sneed, and Tavondre Sweat were non-participants. Quarterback Will Levis was limited, and head coach Mac Callahan had this to say on the young quarterback's recovery from injury.
The more important part for Will right now is going to be not just today, but Thursday, Friday's worth of days consecutively throwing to see how that goes. He feels good after the rest and some time off of throwing, so we'll see what it looks like as the week goes along.
On the Patriots front, rookie quarterback Drake May was a limited participant Wednesday as he progresses through the NFL's concussion protocol after suffering a concussion this past Sunday against the Jets. Thursday Night Football tonight as the Houston Texans take on the New York Jets, and you can catch Westwood One's coverage right here on The Zone starting at 7 p.m. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome in to hour 4. That is right. Put those 4s up. It is the fourth quarter of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Our VFL, Ramon Foster, Jackson Williams behind the glass today. I'm Kayla Anderson. We're ready to bring it in strong down the finish here as we wrap up this show here with the last hour. We've been talking a little bit of everything this morning. Tennessee Titans, Vol football, Vanderbilt football, and bringing it full circle this morning as we talk about the Tennessee Titans getting ready for their matchup with the New England Patriots this weekend. And Moan, when I was in the locker room yesterday, Jeffery Simmons, who continues to be one of the guys that speaks with us every single week, was asked a question just about the state of the team, how they feel in terms of the record, but also how they can still have the mentality to win. Yeah. And he pretty much said, Moan, our record shows 1-6, but it's not who we are. At the end of the day, with the work that we put in and the stuff we've seen on offense, defense, and special teams, we didn't expect to be here. Being disciplined and details, everyone doing their jobs and playing with tip-top effort. I know the belief is still there. Brian's message, in Mac Callahan's message, is still the same. All correctable, especially on defense. Is this just talk saying we don't believe what our record is who we are, or is this really the reality of the situation right now?
So here's the thing. I'm naturally an optimistic person. Like, that's just how I roll, okay? And most times, and I think it's because of, like, you do certain stuff and then you see, okay, well, if I do this, then this will also happen. And that's players for the most part. Players are very much like, if it's between me and you, I'm going to win. Like, that's always the mindset, right? Is that okay to say?
Yeah.
And I think that's where Jeff is, and I understand that also. And I do think this is where this team is. All right, so I'm going to give a little optimism as far as what I see from this team. Not in the sense that I have to. It's in the sense that it's what I see and what I can tell is happening. I think Jeff's 100% correct on this one. I think I can still get better while also being a bad team, because this is what I think is what's happening. I think it may have been Coach Mack. I got to stop saying I think. I feel like it was Coach Mack yesterday that said this. Like, what they have going on is they have a collection of good players that's not playing good ball, right? They have a collection of good players that are playing bad football. Like, there are good guys, good players on this team that haven't collectively come together yet. And I think that's one way to lose. It's not having everybody on the same page. Or in the beginning of part of the season, it was the offense being trash, right? And then the defense had their game against Green Bay, right? And the offense somewhat get it together. And then you have special teams show up. And then you have special teams show up again. Or the quarterback play was bad, but the run game was good. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot
That's frustrating just hearing you say that, right?
Think about what I'm saying, though, right? Like, those are the things that are happening. So I know where Jeff's coming from. What I can tell you is this. You got a Jim and Jarvis Brownlee Jr. that for the better part of his career, if he continues on where he's at, you got a dog in the secondary, right? And I know there's probably going to be some changes with Amani or just figuring out who's going to be your next safety, and Diggs won't be here, and you got to stack and build. But I, as a player, former player, I see that pathway. I can understand that they think they have something good in Kenneth Murray, right? And I know there's a conversation about what Cedric Gray can provide whenever he gets out there. But I still got to go find the middle linebacker. I do think they need to find more depth as it pertains to the defensive line, because Sebastian Joseph Day is out after this year. I think it's on a 1-year deal. I'm not sure if Arden's going to be back. I'm not sure if Harold's going to be back. But what I'm telling you is they're still been productive while also not having great depth, a great foundation as far as like what they are as a team, not like a great foundation as a squad. Like they do have that. You have Tavondre Sweat, who's going to grow and develop. Like I can point to those parts and say, this is going to be good. That's going to be good. Maybe not now. And on the offensive side of things, we've seen this offense catch a wave, right? Get hot. But what happens always, Kayla, something... Mistakes.
Right? Shooting yourself in the foot.
Something bad is happening.
And then the recovery's just not been there.
Because they ain't had enough good come their way. There is that part. Like
more tricks than treats for this team.
Way too many. Way too many, because here's the thing that we know. You've been in the stadiums. I've been in the stadiums. And especially, I think we see it more in basketball. We speak about that M word, momentum. Oh, I felt the momentum
and baseball.
swing. And
Speaking
baseball,
of, just last night in the World Series.
Momentum, and that's where they don't have a lot of that going right for them, Kayla. So as it pertains to them having bad moments, well, how do I know how to get out of it if we haven't collectively as a team gotten out of bad moments? Like the Jets game should have been one of those stepping stone moments for this year. Honestly, opening up the season against Chicago, God dog it, starting off the season with a dub against a rookie. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would have been the most picturesque thing you can have happen this year. New head coach, first game he's ever been a head coach in, with the first-time quarterback that he's played with in his career, right? With a new center, with new weapons on this team. But guess what you do? You drop a dub. So everything that you did this offseason, all the conversations that we've all had about the optimism, about how the building is just different, how we're past the Vrabel conversation, you know what happened in week 1? Splat.
Yep.
And then from there, I'm chasing. I'm trying to figure out, how do I win games? Like, so when Jeff says we're better than 1-6, I'm with him on that.
I get that, right?
You get it now?
Explain that more. And you're a former player, so like you've gone through situations.
Exactly. What they don't have is probably a veteran quarterback that they can really lean on. And I'll be fair, I've always had that in Pittsburgh.
Can I be honest with you about something I heard yesterday?
What's that?
I told you off air that Peter Skoronski, to me, is going to be a leader in the future on this team, okay? Him and J.C. Latham.
Yeah.
Peter has been one of the guys during this really difficult season that is always available. He really handles the media well, and he's pretty transparent as well.
Yeah.
And yesterday, when I asked him about Arden Key and Jeffery Simmons getting up on the sideline this last weekend, which you had told me they were trying to rally the troops even in the worst times, and he said, we love having that, but honestly, we need that on offense. Yep. And I was like, wow.
Told you.
And you said the quarterback and maybe not having that be your leader right now, Will Levis, just because of the circumstances, that also needs to happen.
Yeah, it does. But how can he do that if he doesn't have the confidence to understand how to win and how to pull guys in the right direction? Because we can speak on leadership as much as we possibly can, but the two ways you get leadership in the NFL is through winning or accolades. And right now, he's yet to do either. That. You know what I'm saying? That's why you'll have a guy who's on bad squads in Washington Commanders and Trent Williams become a guy. It's because he was a dude that had a bunch of accolades. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy to drag guys across when they believe you are what success is. And that's what this team is struggling with right now. And that's why I think this weekend, like, as far as my statement I made in yesterday and we talked about today, is this could be potentially Will Levis's last stand to prove that he's the guy moving forward. Now, this last stand may last throughout the course of the rest of this year. But what I'm getting at is the idea that when it comes down, and we're going to talk about this a little bit after our Thursday 3, when it comes down to him proving himself to be this franchise's leader, it does. And Coach Callahan said that in your question, Kayla. It does come down to wins. Say what we want to about it. And I know what Jeff means by saying we're better than 1-6. And he knows that inside that locker room. He sees what the tape is showing where they got to get better. But in order for us to believe it, it's got to come with W's at the end of the game day.
It does. And I'm telling you, this is another opportunity on Sunday. And I know every game is an opportunity. But I'm sorry. The reality of the situation is this is a 2-win New England Patriots team that is beatable.
Facts.
Sorry. When it comes down to it, I don't give it what the players tell you of every game's winnable. Sorry, this is winnable, guys. And if you are going to actually do something with the remainder of your season, whatever that might be, because Taylor brought a great point up in the F&M Bank chat. It's like whack-a-mole. You're exactly right. One problem comes up, you slap it down, another one comes up. Start at least slapping 3 moles down this Sunday against the New England Patriots. Maybe then you can find a way to build on it.
Well, we used to do in the arcade, Kayla, we used to play whack-a-mole. I have a friend over there. Smack it like.
I don't give a damn what you got to do, defense and offense. Split them.
Split them. Like, bring a buddy with you, man. And that's been the biggest issue right there is the buddies have been playing their part. Like, whether it be being outside of your lane on special or kickoff coverage or punt coverage, or the fact that I got to put tight ends on punt protection because we don't have the guys that should be playing those positions knowing how to block properly. I got to put bigger tight ends, basically extensions of the offensive line for a faction of the game, for a section of the game that requires fast guys. And I don't think these tight ends are 4 or 5 types of dudes. You know what I'm saying? And so everybody's got to carry the water, man, and it needs to start this weekend because we're the second half of the season, November football, December football, now January. It does matter. So if you can switch this thing around, you got to have something to build on.
Sure.
And I hope it starts the month of November.
It'd be fun. It'd be fun to have these fans get a win at home for the first time this season. Coming up after the break, it was fun last weekend for Ramon Foster. I'm going to give flowers where they're due. This man went 3-0. So if you listened to him last weekend, he is winning you some money. Can he continue that? We'll have our Thursday 3 coming up next. Plus, we've got a little bit of a treat. Vols Twitter coming up big again. We'll present you with that. That's next on RKW here on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Will Bowling. I want to update you with some exciting news from my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center. Their team of doctors of audiology are always committed to providing patients with the most recent hearing device technology. And their leadership team recently attended the launch of a revolutionary hearing aid, the Phonak Sphere. It's dedicated to helping patients hear well in situations where there's a lot of background noise. With a computer chip completely dedicated to address speech and noise, the Phonak Sphere will help you when you're out to dinner at a noisy restaurant, maybe when you're visiting with friends or clients at a cocktail party, or even while attending crowded sporting events. If you're having trouble hearing conversation when there's background noise, give them a call today and schedule your demonstration of this industry-changing hearing device technology, which also connects directly to your smartphone and television. 615-377-0420. That's the number. Visit them online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. That's Brentwood Hearing Center. Better hearing, better life.
Ooh, welcome back.
Woo!
On this spooky edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We've got the altered Rocky Top that they're now playing, actually, in the fourth quarter. And I can't get enough of this.
Me either.
It's
right.
one of the best remakes that I have ever heard in terms of music. And it's your guys' fight song?
Yeah, it's a celebration
Whatever you want to
song
call
at
it,
this
celebration
point. Yeah,
song.
celebration,
Yeah.
Rocky Top is what we're known for. It's what other fan bases hate, and I get that too. So we slowed it down for them so they could hear it better.
They could hear it better. And you're gonna hear that a lot on Saturday when the Tennessee Volunteers host the Kentucky Wildcats coming off of the bye week. It should be a really good game, guys. I know that they just released this whole video. If you guys want to go watch it on X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it, it's pretty cool. So,
oh my gosh,
go do yourself a favor and check it out.
Good stuff. It's a night game this upcoming weekend. We've given away tickets. I think 3HL is going to give away tickets again. They're on location, I think, in Murfreesboro at Buffalo Wild Wings. So go meet them if you're in the Murfreesboro area today, because they always have a good time. I always
get jealous because I'm like, I wish I had a chance to get out here and go to some of those. But it's a crazy time of the week.
I don't envy them too much.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Because they have to go from their houses all the way up to Clarksville.
Now that's true, and they got to drive in traffic.
And they're like, today, me leaving Hendersonville going to Murfreesboro, it would be dreadful. It would be dreadful. Either I have to leave at like 12 o'clock just to be there and be comfortable, or risk being late.
We're spoiled in that capacity,
We are.
Because we don't have to fight traffic in the mornings, period.
Leaving or going, right? That's what I'm saying.
So I don't envy them.
But free tickets, I'm sure they'll have this evening if you're trying to go to Knoxville. I just couldn't do it this weekend.
It's a tough turnaround.
I don't know. I'm still thinking about it, just on the basis of the turnaround for the game.
Again, if you can find yourself a private jet, man, I'm telling you.
I had, my guy, the photographer with the Titans, Donald Page, said Cirrus, who our guy, what's his name? Josh Dobb has a deal with them, flies out of Knoxville. Now, the thing is, that's a super small plane, but they said they're very efficient. It's basically like taking a taxi from Knoxville to Nashville on a plane.
I would love that.
I need to holler at Dobbs.
Call up Dobbs, man.
Yeah, I got to holler at Dobbs.
Call up our resident astronaut and ask if he can get something done.
And Tennessee just got a new 4-star recruit commit this weekend,
Who is that? Okay.
Here we go. Tyreek King, man, 4-star out of Knoxville. Knoxville chose the Vols over LSU, Alabama, and A&M. The number 6 wide receiver in the class of 2026. There we go.
And
what I'm talking about.
We also got a treat for you guys on this Halloween. Jackson Williams, we've got a Thursday ticket giveaway.
Yes, it's Titans Ticket Thursday. If you're caller 5, you win tickets to see the Titans host the Patriots this Sunday, plus 2 tickets to the Titans VIP tailgate with Slay and DJ C-Wiz.
Yes, Slay Dog in the chat too, and that's always a good time with Slay. Even if the Titans aren't winning, he'll make you feel like the team is winning by just attending the tailgate. So you are caller 5. If you want to call in now, caller 5 will win those tickets and get to hang out with Slay.
Everybody but Jeremy that was trying to give away tickets. Jeremy can't call in.
Jeremy can't call in,
Number
right?
615-737-1045. Go ahead and get your free tickets, baby. Let's go.
And let's go. Let's do our Thursday 3 because Ramon won last week. He was 3-0. He made you some money.
I did.
Here's the standings right now as we speak. Tied at the top, Robert Walsh. He's at 15-12. He went 1-2 last week. I am tied with him at 15-12. I went 1-2. Yeah, it was not a good week for us. Will went 1-2 last week. He is 13-14. And Ramon, he is making a comeback, tied with Will now. He went 3-0. He's at 13-14. So this is getting to be an interesting race at the end of the season. Who's going to have to walk on that treadmill? So you won. You go first, Ramon.
All right, then. My first pick for this upcoming weekend, man. I am, I guess, a hater because I'm waiting on the ball to drop on Miami. For that reason right there, Kayla, I'm going to keep it real simple. I'm taking Duke on plus 20 this weekend. It's at Duke.
Okay.
Duke is a better football team than what we think they are, not just all academics. So plus 20 seems a little rich for me.
That's a big number.
That is a big number. Give me plus 20 Duke this weekend.
Okay, so we're going with plus, I got to write all these down, plus 20 Duke for Ramon as they are facing Miami. Okay, so I'll go and then I'll read Will's for this week.
And I'll read Bert's.
Yes, perfect. That sounds good. So I am going to go ahead, and I don't know what has gotten into me. I guess that I'm from a blue-collared town in Spokane, Washington. I like doing things the blue-collar way. We were talking about in the break. I've always worked for everything that I've had.
Right.
Pitt is a hard-working, hard-hat, blue-collared team when it comes down to it. And they are undefeated right now. Pat Narduzzi and company doing a great job over there. Their quarterback, who did get beat up in the last game, he will be playing. They are at SMU, who is 7-1. So that's a good team. It's tricky. But here's what I will say. Right now, SMU is a 7.5-point favorite.
Yep.
I think that's a little bit too big. I'm not saying Pitt's going to win this game, but I think they're going to keep it a lot closer. I'm going to take Pitt plus 7.5 on this one.
You know what? I have that one on my list too, so I'm with you on that one. And I would also say I would, if I was doing a parlay, I would plus 7 this one and money line it too, if I could.
Look at
that. I think Pitt's going to win. When you got winning ways, there's like things that go in your favor. Things go in your favor when you got winning ways like that. And I'm taking the plus 7.5 too. So there's two of mine right there, Kayla.
So those are Ramon and I both down for plus 7.5. Taken on SMU. Do you want? I'm going to read Will's right now. Yeah. So he is out right now. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see. He is going to go with South Carolina plus 2.5 at A&M. A&M is favored right now, visiting South Carolina. But Will believes in the Gamecocks in this one. He's going to take them at plus 2.5. It is a tricky game for the Aggies going there.
It is 100%. Bert just sent me his stuff also. Well, he sent it to us earlier. I'm trying to see who the Texans have this weekend.
Bert has done a lot of. Bert's more comfortable with the NFL.
He is very much more comfortable with the NFL. But he's successful
usually at it, except for last week.
It's Houston and the Jets. Houston, Texas versus the Jets. Bert has taken Texans plus 1.5. The game is actually in New Jersey this upcoming weekend, so he's taking Texans plus 1.5.
That's smart.
So Bert goes again. Because we're snake drafting this thing. He is also taking Seahawks versus the Rams.
Okay.
He's taking the Seahawks plus 1.5.
Oh, he's taking my Seahawks.
Yeah,
Look at that.
He's taking the Hawks.
I think it's about time too, because they're at home. At some point, you got to take advantage of that home environment, which, by the way, has been taken over by other teams recently, which I think is very weird for Seattle. They've been known as one of the best places to play.
Yep.
And they've been taken over by 49er fans. I think Buffalo Bill fans were up in their trap recently. So I do like that one. They've got to regain home field advantage in some way. Okay, so is it Will's turn?
Yeah, Will's turn again.
So we'll stick with college football for Will. He is going to go with the home team, the Tennessee Vols, taking on Kentucky this weekend. It's a big number, but Kentucky has not proven to be able to fight much recently. They have not been able to show anything on offense. They're going up against a really good Vols defense. Tennessee is favored minus 16.5, and that's what Will's going with this weekend.
Well, put the Vols up. I like it. I'll take it all day, especially as many players as they have out this weekend. Gerald Mincey out for the weekend after all that trash he talked. That's
weak sauce, baby. That's weak sauce.
Unless it's something super serious. Come on, dog.
Come on, man. Okay, here's what I'm going with in terms of my other college game. I'm going to go ahead and take Navy minus 11 versus Rice. It is at Rice, but Rice has been a disaster. They've made some coaching changes coordinator-wise. I think Navy is a little bit upset about how they did not show up against Notre Dame. So I know it's a big number, but I do feel like Navy feels like we've got to make sure that they think that we're not a complete joke. So I'm going to take Navy minus 11 in this game against Rice.
Oh, okay. This will be my last pick because I went 2 for 2 there. So this will be my last one. I'm taking Fighting Clark Lee's.
Okay,
Vanderbilt versus Auburn.
I like it.
At Auburn this upcoming weekend, too. The only reason I'm picking Vandy is a plus 7 on this one. I think it's a little bit too rich. Chris Lee came on here earlier and said nobody's beating this team by more than 4 points this year. Plus 7.
That's a really good point. That's what he said.
Is easy money for this. And also, I say this about Auburn. Auburn's also one of those teams that had a guy go to the hospital, come back and beat you.
So that tells me, like, we're talking about bad teams. We're talking about the Titans saying they're better than their record is. I don't think Auburn's better than their record. So them beating Vanderbilt as hot as they are, even with a banged-up Diego Pavia, give me the +7. That's easy money.
I like
right
it.
there.
He is in favor of Vanderbilt this weekend on the road. Okay, so let's go ahead and give our final picks. Do you have Bert's?
Yeah, I got Bert's. Bert's going North Carolina versus Florida State.
Oh, so he is taking a college game.
He is taking a college game. He's going UNC -2.5. He says for this reason right here. Mac Brown has never beaten Florida State despite it being his alma mater. He said, I think that changes this weekend. Yeah.
Okay.
He got him beating them.
All right. He's going with that. Will's last pick, we're going to go to the NFL. He is also taking, like Bert did, the Texans +1.5 at the Jets. Look, the Jets are a complete disaster. No matter who they've added, I think the point being, I think Aaron Rodgers is done when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
At some point, throw in the towel, buddy. I know you're a future Hall of Famer, but you're done. It is what it is at this point. So he's taking Texans +1.5. I am going to go ahead and do Will's last one. Oh, that's what Will's was. Mine is, I'm going to also the NFL for my final bet. I'm going to go ahead and take the Commanders. They're -4 at the New York Giants. I believe in what they're doing. There's some sort of magic going on in D.C. with the Commanders and Jaden Daniels. I just think the Giants, I think they're done. I just don't think there's enough there to figure it out. Yeah, Brian Dable and company, so long, farewell. I'm taking the Commandos at -4.
Hit them with the farewell real quick. Oh, man.
So that's our Thursday 3?
That's our Thursday 3. Get rich with us, baby.
Get rich with us. We've been doing well as a show for the most part. Week 9, we went 6-6, so not bad. Hopefully, we'll bring you some more money. Yeah, he did his part. He went 3-0, baby. He went 3-0.
This is why y'all don't need me to win this. Because I'm going to trash talk so bad. I need y'all to know that, man.
Yeah, of course he is.
And I expect y'all to do the same thing if I have to walk on that treadmill for the whole show.
I cannot wait for this, by the way. I think we'll just see ratings go up on our YouTube views complete 120% on that day. It should be fun when we come to the end of the season in terms of our Thursday 3. Let's get back to a conversation we had earlier today about the development of quarterbacks in the NFL. We've seen so much recently in terms of rookies coming in and not being able to perform at a quick, high rate. And Anthony Richardson is a prime example recently. Yesterday, Shane Steichen talked about how maybe they're not completely giving up on Anthony Richardson, but they are going to start Joe Flacco for the immediate future. For me, once you put it out there that you're benching your starting quarterback, I feel like all confidence is lost in those guys because they're not only trying to figure it out, but mentally they're trying to figure it out. And so we'll hear from Brian Callahan in terms of where the fine line is really quick. But this is something I know you've had a pretty direct stance on.
Yeah, strong on this one. I want to kind of set this up a little bit better. Now, I ain't going to say a little bit better, a little bit different than we did in the first time we spoke about this.
Yeah.
Kayla asked about what again? Kayla, what was the original question you asked Coach Callahan? The development of the quarterbacks.
Yeah, and how you you balance being able to get production, but also finding a way to have these quarterbacks succeed when they are so young and there is so much pressure.
And so I'll ask our listeners to hear Coach Callahan's answer. And as it pertains to him answering this, ask how many of these things does Will Levis hit on? Because our answer, what they're trying to do is figure out if he's the guy. If you can build this franchise, this team around him, and how many of these hot points that Coach Callahan reels off has Will Levis checked the box on? And considering he's also in year 2 of this thing, to where next year's a big year for him, an even bigger year for him, I said earlier, I think this is if he does well, he carries on. But if this is a bad look for Will Levis the second half of the season on this second try that he gets, I don't know if he's the guy moving forward. I'm glad to be wrong, but just hear Coach Callahan out on how he breaks down what you need out of those young quarterbacks with development.
Jackson, do you have that?
The young quarterbacks in this league. We just saw a situation in Indy with Anthony Richardson being benched. You've been around the game for a while in quarterbacks. Do you feel like there is less patience, or does that kind of vary from organization to organization in terms of how they are setting up a quarterback for success?
How long you guys want to sit here?
I was just saying you probably have a great long answer on that.
No, I think there's a lot of things that go into that. There is, and I think before I speak on any of it, I think every situation is a little bit different, and every player and organization has different ways they go about it. So I'm not speaking for anybody, but I just think there's a couple of factors at play for some of the things that happen in the league. I think one, the quarterback position is the toughest position to play in sports. It's really difficult to play quarterback, and then it's even more difficult to play at a level that everybody wants their quarterback to play at. The top 4 or 5 guys in the league, everybody's searching for that. It's really hard to do, and there's some of the factors I think are, there's the economic factor of having a young quarterback on a rookie deal that allows for financial flexibility, so you can build a better roster and not pay the quarterback what they're getting paid now, $60 million plus now, as a part of the whole picture of building a team. I think college football and NFL football are so dramatically different right now. There's very few like pro style offenses in college. There's a lot of things about what those guys do in college that works really well in college, and then there's a whole different level when you get here. The biggest thing for me, like the protections, understanding protections, how to protect yourself, how to set protections, the pressures you see in the high leverage spots in games. So those are just some minor things, but there's also then now the patience part, which, as we all know, as I said the other day, there's not a lot of patience in pro sports in general, and sometimes it does take a little bit of time to learn all of those things. And then there's you're balancing winning with developing, and that's a very, very hard thing to do in pro football, probably in every professional sport, because fans want success and ownerships want success, and all of those things are all normal. They're part of it, but I think sometimes those things conflict and they run into each other, where you're trying to win because people's jobs are on the line. And then you're trying to develop because guys need development. So it's a really tricky thing, but I think it also stems mostly from the fact that it's just such a difficult position to play, and there's so much demand on that position that you have to play a good amount of football to learn all of those lessons, I think. So I could talk about this for a really long time. I won't bore everybody, but there's a lot of things that I think go into it.
Yeah, he was incredibly philosophical yesterday, and he kind of joked and said, gosh, I feel like, sorry, I'm being so. And we as media that were in there for the presser, we enjoyed it because at least he's explaining in detail really what the process is like. But with all that, Ramon, a.k.a. Skeletor here, he has put his mask on for Halloween. By the way, I'm obsessed with skeletons, so this is right up my alley.
Works for everybody.
Right? What did you take out of that in terms of everything he bullet pointed that's probably the biggest talking point?
The biggest talking point came closer towards the end. There's a lot there, but he said it's 2 things real quick. Winning while developing, right? That's crucial. Can you do those things while developing? Tua did it in Miami. C.J. Stroud did it. Brock Purdy did it. Jaden Daniels is doing live.
Even Caleb Williams, as it's taking him longer,
he's
right?
holding it together as much as he possibly can. Lost a crusher last weekend. But here's the part where it becomes problematic for the people that got to make decisions on him. $60 million that eventually got to be paid out, right? So that way you can build up a team. Will Levis is closer to that than Jaden Daniels is. He's closer to it than C.J. Stroud is because he doesn't have the 5th-year option unless you're going to franchise tag him. Then the other part of it, he said, people's jobs on the line when you lose. So if this next opportunity, whenever it is, Will Levis gets his shot, right? If he's still contributing to the losing, then my job is on the line. I'm judged way harsher off of losing than I can be bad play with winning. You see what I'm saying? Like, those are the issues that we're somewhat running into with waiting on him to get more reps. Is, coach, where's the winning in these reps at? Where can you tell me the winning is in these reps? Because I don't see him right now, albeit he's had injuries to himself, right? The diving out in Miami, I'm glad he did it because it got you a first down that was needed. But the conversation that he's had, and Vrabel even had with him too, about protecting himself. He doesn't get the shoulder injury, maybe if he doesn't dive on that throwing shoulder. Like, I don't know what shoulder it is anymore. But
right.
Those are the things that you can't allow to happen. You got to also protect yourself because as a coach, and he's had 2 coaches, teach him and tell him and force him to stop throwing your body on the line when you don't have to, right? The economics, he mentioned that. He mentioned it's a tough decision. I mean, it's a tough position to play. That was one of the first things he said, and I agree with Coach.
And then he started it and ended it with that.
And you know what? The issue is with that, and this is, of course, us splitting hairs and all of this as it pertains to him, because we can be very magnified in what we say. But him saying it's a tough position also leads me to saying, well, Will Levis said he had to rewire himself. Are you tough enough for this position? I like to think yes, Kayla, but we hadn't seen the adjustment from him making that statement of rewiring himself to where he is right now. Like sometimes a lot of this game, I tell folks, this game ain't physical. This game is mental more than it is because everybody's got talent. You know how many dudes I met that was faster than me, stronger than me, and then probably quicker than me, but they didn't have the mental fortitude to continue on. So I know it's tough, but how is your guy handling this toughness? Again, hear him out and see how many boxes does he check. And again, I hope I'm wrong. So he can shut up.
I think we all hope that,
every
right?
Tennessee fan,
right?
Tennessee Vols fan, and every hater that he's had. It's nothing better than watching your haters crumble. That's where I'm at.
But right now, you have to prove that. That's the thing. And it hasn't happened.
Another stop point that he made, another point that he made, too, was like the differences between college football and NFL football as far as the pro style goes. Like, Will Levis played in a pro style offense at Kentucky. Jackson, who's this offensive coordinator at Kentucky, who's now in the NFL?
Liam Cohen.
Liam Cohen's. Like, so he's had this training, right?
But how much does it stick? That's the thing that and again, we've got to go, but the sticking to, like, knowing what you're doing and what you've got to fix is one thing, but actually doing it and making it sticks with you, making sure it sticks with you, that's another thing. Unfortunately, that has not been proven to us yet.
To me, the most important thing he said was people jobs on the line while we wait on you.
It's a great point, Mamone. It's a great point. Been a fun show. It's been a weird, crazy show, but it's been fun. That's what you get on Halloween, though. I feel like it's very weird sometimes. It's just the time of the season, and we're going to wrap up the show. It's final calls coming your way, 615-737-1045. Maybe you want to talk about your favorite thing that you're looking forward to this weekend, what you're dressing up for this weekend, whatever it is. We'll open up the phone lines for you, the listener. That's coming up next on 104.5 The Zone.
Did you know that up to 50% of the air you breathe in your home comes from your crawl space? Have you ever looked in your crawl space also? I get it. Most of us don't even want to know what's down there. But moisture in your crawl space can create unhealthy issues that can make their way into your air you breathe every day in your home. It's Ramon Fawson. This is where United Structural Systems can help. USS has been keeping homes dry and stable in Middle Tennessee since 1994. So number one, they aren't going anywhere. Help control moisture and musty smells with mold treatment and crawl space encapsulation that comes with the USS guarantee. That's right. Encapsulation helps reduce high humidity in your crawl space, helps deter mold and mildew, and protects your crawl space from pests and wood rot. Turn your crawl space into a healthy space. Call USS for all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs. The number is 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, or find them online at USSTN.com.
Welcome back into Arcade Dub as we wrap up this Halloween. It's been a fun show. Thanks to our guests today. We had Coach Mack on. Who else did we have on?
Coach Mack, we had Chris Lee from VandySports.com.
Chris Lee on, talking a little Vanderbilt.
Sure did. We had our Thursday 3. We had a quarterback conversation.
Man,
we knocked it out the park today, man.
It feels like 2 shows in one, honestly.
It does. Who went 3-0 last week in our pickups?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're going to milk it for all it's worth.
I don't know what this week holds. I don't know what this week holds, Kayla, is what I'm telling you, man.
It is. I will say this, Ramon, because I know you guys know I did not play college sports.
Yeah.
I was born competitive coming out of the womb, though. I'm telling you. I just got this. So these Thursday 3s, when I get home and I got to figure out, okay, I went 1-3. Now what do I got to do to make a comeback here? I got to get back to the Ramon Foster level of winning. So it's always fun, and hopefully you guys enjoy the segments.
Y'all get your weight up, man.
It's been a lot of fun. We promised you we would go out to the phone lines, and we're going to do that. We've got Josh, and he has something to ask about in terms of the Titans. What's up, Josh?
A Titans rundown for Halloween. So it's called A Nightmare on Titans Way. The weather outside's delightful, and the Titans are playing frightful. Oh, I apologize. I'm skipping over holidays like Costco. To quote Twister, if you can feel it, chase it. However, the safest place in Nashville right now is Nissan Field. There hasn't been a touchdown there in a while.
Oh.
I feel like Freddie is after me. It's a nightmare I can't awake from, and it's going to be a bloodbath. Colin Ridley staring down Levis like Mike Myers after running wide open routes and getting 0 looks. The Titans are worse than the plot where Jason goes into space. And speaking of space, we don't have any with defensive lines crushing through us going, here's Johnny. And then they sack us and say, I'll be back. The only thing more terrifying is Will Levis hiking the ball saying, I want to play a game. I can either almost get sacked and throw a pick 6, or I can almost fumble the ball. You have 3 seconds to decide. This team is a whole lot of trick with no treats. Happy Halloween. And on another note, go Balls.
Wow. Josh, I feel like on this Halloween, I mean, all of them are coming out with the bags in terms of. I don't know what to think about it because it's like this is real frustration that's coming out in poetry.
They've turned songwriters into poets.
That's what I was going to say. We are an entertainment country music city, and we're seeing it from our callers. I'm just going to say this. I hope even there's one Titans player listening this morning that can turn that into something good. Because we've got some frustration around the city, and rightfully so.
It's necessary this upcoming weekend.
Yeah,
be there, y'all. Let's come out here and support the squad.
I'll say this. It's going to be 78 degrees, and nice. I know that you guys are looking for a win. I know fans have been frustrated. But if you have a chance, go out there. Let's see if it can happen. That's my treat that I'm going to offer you on this Halloween.
Yeah. I'm all for
Let's get $100,000, not a dud.
They'll get a dub this weekend.
Look at you.
They'll get a dub, a home dub, which has escaped them a few times as of late. Last win was in Miami.
Right. And the last home win, you had to go all the way back to last year at the end of the year when they, by the way, I keep forgetting this, but they bounced the Jags from the playoff picture. Mm-hmm. So that's a long time ago.
Well, we'll get it right, Kayla.
We will. We've got an exciting lineup tomorrow. Of course, we've got the voice of the Tennessee Titans, the Vaught, Mike Keith. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. He tweeted that out yesterday, which got so much play. I thought it was great by Mike Keith to play into that.
The chat tried to fire Mike Keith, man.
I know. And he played right into it.
He played right into it. Mike's a funny guy, man. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Mike's a funny guy.
Brent Hubbs, our good friend of VolQuest, will join us. And then we've got a surprise coming across at the 9 o'clock hour. All I'll say is this is not necessarily a sports personality, but he is a guy who has a lot of followers in terms of comedy.
Yeah.
So we will have that surprise coming up tomorrow on the show. Thanks again to everybody who joined the show today. Chris Lee, Coach Mack, Jackson holding it down. He's doing the whole 6 to 6 p.m. thing today.
Yeah, he is, Jackson. You thugging, man.
I'll be here all day.
Literally.
Somebody send him something like a care package, okay? For Kayla Anderson, Ramon Foster, Jackson Williams, our whole crew, We thank you guys for tuning in. Be safe on this Halloween. And remember, don't trick yourself, right? When it comes to keeping your Twitter.
Absolutely. And remember, your Twitter fingers, Mike is always hot, good people.